It's another day of competitive robotics here in Michigan. Today we are on the east side of the state at Troy Athens High School for the Troy District event as Michigan First Robotics continues. We welcome you inside Troy Athens High School. I'm Dan Gutowski along with Dan Kimura. Kaylee Marentet will join us in just a little bit as well. Well, Dan, we've been watching these teams several weeks now, all building to the state finals in a couple of weeks at Saginaw Valley State. What's the mindset for these teams now as they move deeper and deeper into the competition?
It's interesting, actually. I just had a conversation with the team in the pits about this, and their take was, we have to be good enough for this event at this event, and they're going to keep working on that robot, so by the time they get to states, they expect their robot to be even better. So despite the fact that we're in week 5 now, they've had 5 weeks of competitions, teams are still adding improvements, and they will continue to do so up until the last match.
Yeah, the stakes continue to get higher and higher each weekend. Let's do a reset and review how the gameplay will unfold today.
All right, the first Robotics 2022 game is called Rapid React. It's kind of an airline-themed game. We've got a couple of easy ways to score. This main hub in the middle, there's a high goal and a low goal. We've also got these bars on the side of the field that you can climb for extra points at the end of the match. A match is 2 minutes and 30 seconds long, but the first 15 seconds are autonomous. And what that means is all these robots are pre-programmed. There are no drivers touching the controls. There are a few ways to score points during the autonomous period. If you drive outside of that taped area, you get 2 points for what we call taxiing. And any balls scored in the high goal are worth 4 points. The low goal is worth 2. After autonomous, the next 2 minutes and 15 seconds of the match, the drivers will step forward, take control of their robot, and they're just trying to score as many balls as they can. Now, during driver-controlled period, or the tele-operated period, high goals are now only worth 2 points, low goals only worth 1. So teams are going to be fighting over the limited number of balls on the field to collect them and shoot them in the goals as fast as they can. With 30 seconds left in the match, we are in what we call endgame. Endgame, you'll see robots heading over towards these monkey bars. You get a different number of points based on how high you can climb. So the low rung is worth 4 points, 6 points if you make it up to the mid, 10 points for the high rung, and the very highest bar, we call the traversal rung, that's worth 15 points. Now, these bars are designed, along with the rules, to make it so that it's very hard to reach all the way up to the top bar. That's why you'll see teams doing the monkey bars and swinging across.
Yeah, it seems complicated, but things have a way of kind of playing themselves out visually once we see the robots on the field. Let's bring in the third member of our broadcast now, Kaylee Marentet.
Hey, Dan and Dan, lots of excitement here today. We've also seen a lot of good outfits and costumes here that we're going to show you up later in the show. Also coming up in the show, we're going to talk to players after each game from the Red and Blue Alliances. I also got the chance to sit down with some people, including a Lieutenant Colonel from the U.S. Space Force. He talked a little bit about the Air Force as well and what they're looking for people when it comes to joining those forces and what the recruitment process looks like. I also sat down with a coach here from a team who kind of has a full circle story. We're going to have more on that coming up later in the show, but for now I'm going to send it back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Kaylee. We love to hit on all those human interest stories, so stay tuned for that as well. We'll crank things up, and the robots will be on the field when we come back. It's the Michigan First Robotics Troy District event. We're coming back to Athens High School in just a moment.
DTE believes leaders are defined by doing what's right, not what's easy. So we're tripling renewables and cutting carbon emissions in half over the next 10 years and using cleaner natural gas. Working even harder to create a future where producing affordable, reliable energy doesn't contribute to climate change. Because to lead, we have to do what's right. DTE.
How do you change the way the world moves? Change course. Aptiv is engineering the brain and the nervous system to bring the future of mobility to life with advanced computing platforms and smart vehicle architecture, taking you from point A to point B and every point in between. We are Aptiv, and we're moving mobility forward.
Innovation usually looks something like this. But what if if it didn't? What if it looked like a family truck that powers a family home? Or an ordinary drive made extraordinary? Let's change what innovation looks like. From floating around in your own personal space capsule up here to what we could build for all Americans down here.
I got into energy because I really love playing around with cutting-edge technology.
I got into energy because ever since I was a kid, I've been a social butterfly.
I got into energy because I didn't want to spend all day in an office.
I got into energy because I have always been a problem solver.
I got into energy because I wanted to work in a skilled trade.
I got into energy because I know that it's stable local work.
There are lots of reasons to get into energy, and chances are we have a career that's right for you. Get inspired at consumersenergy.com/careers.
Michigan First Robotics is brought to you by Consumers Energy. Count on us. Ford Motor Company. Aptiv. Kettering University. FCA Foundation. DTE Foundation. Welcome back as we continue to get revved up, fine-tune things a little bit here. A little bit of a late start this afternoon, but Dan, let's kind of walk through the 4 quarterfinal matches. This will be the first quarterfinal match pitting a number 1 alliance against a number 8 alliance. What's our preview here?
Yep, so just as a reminder, right, we played all day Friday. We played this morning in what we call qualification matches. Those you have a random partner. You're playing against random opponents. And we rank the teams after the end of those matches. So you get like 2 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, 0 points for a loss, and there are a couple other ways you can get some ranking points. After that's done, the highest seeded team then picks somebody to be their permanent partner for our playoffs that we're about to have now. And so that's what we're looking at. When you see the number 1 alliance, that is our top seed here, team number 27 out of Clarkston High School, seeded first over the course of the past day and a half. They got their first pick, which was team 67. Out of the Huron Valley schools, and those are kind of the 2 best scoring robots at the event. But there are other ones that can keep it close. And in that number 8 alliance, we've got 7769 is actually a very good team that was having issues with their robot. Their main computer, we call it the Robo Rio, was basically not working for them for the second half of this event. So they fell really, really low in picks. They're joining a very capable scorer in 1250 and 5907. So the number 1 alliance has the advantage there, but it's going to be closer than it looks.
So that's the way the first 4 quarterfinal matches will break out. Again, you win 2 quarterfinal matches, you move into the semifinals. And everything today brought to you by Dream Maker Fund. So we will work our way through this bracket, and appropriate that Final Four for college basketball is this weekend.
Yep.
We've got our own brackets that are going on here as we watch the machines move into place. The Blue Alliance consisting of OSTC, Southeast, Catholic Central High School, and Henry Ford Academy of Dearborn, and then the Red Alliance. Some names we're very familiar with: Huron Valley Schools, Clarkston High Schools, and International Academy.
Yeah, and again, the way the draft works, it's actually a snake draft. So number 1 seed picks first. We go all the way down to number 8. Number 8 actually gets 2 picks, and we work our way back up to number 1. So sometimes what you'll find with the 8-seeded alliances is you have 3 robots that are about the same, quality level. Whereas the number 1 alliance, you have number 1, the first pick, so kind of the first 2 robots, and then they have to wait until 24 to get their 3rd robot there. So usually with a number 1 seeded alliance, that 3rd robot will be playing some defense, maybe chipping in a little bit here and there for points. But with this number 8 alliance, we actually have 3 robots that can all shoot high and score goals. So we might see a much more distributed offensive approach coming from our number 8 alliance in blue.
So the Red Alliance, again, the number 1 seed, they'll be the predominant favorite for most of today. The machine that they picked and their teammates to join forces. What do we know about that?
Yeah, so if we can, 27 was the captain. We're taking a look at some of 67's human players here and drivers. They were the first pick. Both of those robots are very, very fast at moving around the field and picking up balls.
and shooting into the high goal. They both have a lot of different kind of sweet spots that they can shoot from. They're not limited. So if they're on the far side of the field, they can line up and shoot from the far side of the field. If they're on the near side, they can line up and shoot from that. The other thing to watch is in auto mode. Remember, the first 15 seconds of the match is all pre-programmed, no drivers. In auto mode, we're going to see 27 try to score 5 balls in auto mode. So they're going to shoot the one that they start with, pick up 2 more, shoot those, try to pick up 2 more, and shoot those. Meanwhile, 67 on the other side of the field is going to be looking to shoot either 2 or 3. We're going to have to watch and see which auto mode they're running here. On the other side, it looks like we've got a bunch of robots aiming for maybe just 2. They're going to shoot 2 at a time. So we have to watch very carefully. The autonomous advantage here could be a big problem for the Blue Alliance if their shots don't fall.
The crowd is starting to, get a little bit more jazzed up. Love seeing all the participation and all the parents and supporters that come out here to spend time supporting these kids who do a lot of work all week behind the scenes, kind of toiling in anonymity with the mentors and everything. But
for sure,
the chance to, come to this bigger stage and kind of see how it all plays out is very, very exciting.
Yeah, and that was a big block. The yellow shirts, that was Team 27, our Clarkston High School team. They've always been a very big team, so they bring a lot of people. They also have plenty of cheers that they will break out when needed.
And our autonomous scoring period begins. Quick shooting with the cargo balls flying. Wow, that's a lot of shots.
Going for those last 2. They're going back on our screen here. They got both of them. So these last 2 shots, they make only 1 of 2. And actually, we talked about the threat of red taking over, but it's not. It's close.
Yeah, very efficient for the Blue Alliance in the early going. Now we're seeing the Red Alliance doing a better job of getting those cargo balls up into that upper hub. Again, that's a 2-point difference compared to a 1-point difference. We don't see too many robots going low anymore, do we?
No, once you get to this point of the season, just 2 points for high is too valuable. So you'll see a lot there. A couple of missed shots by 67. It looks like 4384 is doing a good job of playing defense, and they've been trying to pick up blue balls to limit the supply. So they've been running around with 2 balls of the other team's color. They lost 1, so they've only got 1 left.
We can see the GatorBots robot from Henry Ford Academy Dearborn playing excellent defense on Huron Valley School's hot team robot.
Yep, and they also, you can see inside them, they also have a red ball right now. So they've been holding the Red Alliance's balls and playing defense, trying to get that double whammy. If there's less places you can go to pick up a ball on the field, it's easier to defend.
And yet the Red Alliance continues to find ways to get those 2-point shots in with their cargo going high. They've got a 40-point lead here with under a minute left to go.
Yeah, and again, this is what we expected. 27 and 67, 2 of the best shooting robots at this event. The defense is slowing 67 down a little bit, but our score is going to be well over 100 points here when all is said and done.
Boy, almost 100 points before they even start to go to the hangar zone.
Yep, and both 27 and 67 can go all the way to the traversal bar, so there's a lot of value on this alliance in the endgame. Meanwhile,
so no one's climbing yet, but
77-69 has died on the field again. So that problem we were alluding to pre-match is not fixed. It's come back. I saw them working on it before the match, but they did not find the answer, it looks like.
Red Alliance is going to cash in and try and get all 3 of their robots in the hangar zone and get some points. A traversal rung for the Blue Alliance. Now it falls off, so not a great finish for the Blue Alliance, and this will be a fairly comfortable Red Alliance win to start.
Yeah, that was just textbook from Red. They got their hangs at the end. They went at a good time. They went early enough to get it comfortably, but not too early that they gave up on shooting. And like I said, this is going to be probably 130-some points.
Wow. So funny, a few weeks ago, we're looking at point totals 50s and 60s, and now we're well into the hundreds.
It's going to keep creeping up. So Blue does a great job here. We see all of the Blue robots shooting and then reloading and then kind of shooting that second ball. But meanwhile, 27 coming in late, picking up those 2 extra balls. went only 1 for 2, and this is what we were talking about, was that red has the ability to put up a big score in auto mode, missed a few shots, and that kept it close.
And here's what the last part, the hangar zone, looks like as the Red Alliance just, very efficient.
We've got this cool like rotary mechanism, kind of like a T-shape that rotates up, and the gap is set perfect to go from the mid bar to the high bar to the traversal bar, and both 67 and 27 with the same style mechanism here, making it look effortless. And that's 36 points in endgame alone.
Yeah, this match will be under review. Not sure quite why, but so we may have a little bit of a delay in the official
scoring. So typically if you see under review, it just means that a penalty was called and they're not sure if the penalty should have been called or what the actual penalty will be. If it's going to be just a point penalty. We have regular penalties that are 4 points. We have tech penalties that are more. The refs can also issue a yellow card as a warning or a red card, which would disqualify the Alliance and be an instant loss.
And yet we didn't really see anything that would stand out as a penalty that egregious.
Yeah, no, definitely not expecting a red card here. There's a few gotcha yellow cards where, you're not really doing anything too bad, but just because of the way the rule's written, you can get tagged with a yellow. I wouldn't expect that here either. I think they were just trying to make sure they got the penalty points right.
Yeah, so they'll figure out what the yellow card consists of, but we'll still expect that this will be a comfortable Red Alliance win. It is a win for the Red Alliance. So the yellow card didn't really transpire into anything meaningful. And you talk about the points totals going up. Well, the Red Alliance, I don't know if they have a ceiling, but when you're into the 100-point territory in your first quarterfinal match, you're in good shape.
Yeah, those two robots, 27 and 67, played together in a qualifying match earlier. And I think they put up 144, so they've got a little bit probably of upward room there. But, if you're putting up 132s, it's going to make it hard for the rest of the alliances here. And you can see, it's all cargo, and then they execute those hanger points. And I would expect that alliance, they have 3 very good hanging robots. You can probably rely on 36 points in the endgame for them every time. There were 2 penalties, 1 blue, 1 red, and that's what our under review was for. There is 1 protected spot on the field. If you're touching what we call the launch pad, which is the front edge of that truss section where you can do the hanging bars, you're protected there. If you get hit while you're touching that, you get a 4-point penalty. That was one of our penalties. The other one was you can't hit robots inside the frame perimeter, inside the bumper zone, and that was our other 4-point penalty.
Well, let's hear from the victorious Red Alliance as we go down to Kaylee Marintek.
Hey guys, I'm here with William from 67. You guys were super hot, came out super strong. I mean, you had 90 points still with 30 seconds left. Tell me how important that lead was.
It was super important to us. I felt our team and Rush did really well because we had a dedicated defense spot on us both, while we were still able to sneak around them, and by the help of Rush being super maneuverable and us having 2 intakes, we were able to get around them. So if they block one side, use the other.
How are you feeling after that kicks off the rest of your day?
Oh, it feels great, man. It is awesome. I feel like we're going strong into the next match here.
What do you think was your strongest thing that got you through that and got you such a high score?
I feel it was probably the compatibility that us and Rush have together, because we can work on either side of the field. We don't need to both hog all the balls close to us.
What was your mind? What was going through your mind? It was under review. What were you thinking during that?
I was just as clueless. Someone's like, "Hey, is it this team?" Like, I don't know.
What are you going to take from that match with you into the rest of the day? Whether that's something you guys did right or compatibility.
I think we probably need to start getting used to what intake needs to be down, because part of our large issue is we have a drive called field-centric. So no matter where the robot is facing, that direction's forward. So if we're spun backwards, it's kind of hard to tell which intake to use since we have 2.
What's going to be your mentality going through the rest of the day?
Oh, it's hope.
Hope?
Hope.
I get on board with that. All right, thanks, William, and good luck for the rest of the day. Dan and Dan, back to you.
All right, thank you, Kaylee and William. Yeah, very one-sided, and when you're dominating in both the both point totals, the autonomous, the cargo and the hanging.
Yeah.
That's the trifecta that you can be proud of. We will take a break here at Troy Athens High School as our Troy District event continues.
At Consumers Energy, we believe change is imagining. Change is big, small, clean. Him, them, us, you. Together, we can bring clean energy to Michigan and protect the environment for generations to come. Learn about your clean energy choices and how you can become a force of change. consumersenergy.com/change.
If you want to continue enjoying the excitement of robotics, come check out what's going on at Kettering University, including their combat robotics team and FIRST Center. Turn your robotics experience into a professional career. Be sure to apply to Kettering beginning in August of 2022. Go to kettering.edu/apply to learn more.
DTE believes leaders are defined by doing what's right, not what's easy. So we're tripling renewables and cutting carbon emissions in half over the next 10 years and using cleaner natural gas. Working even harder to create a future where producing affordable, reliable energy doesn't contribute to climate change. Because to lead, we have to do what's right. DTE.
One quarterfinal match in the books. A dominant performance by our number 1 seed. Now we move to the 4 and 5 seeds. More competitive as we have the Pontiac High School, Seaholm High School, and Southwestern Classical Academy representing the Red Alliance. They will go up against Troy High School, not Troy Athens, Troy High School, Marion High and Brother Rice High School, and Martin Luther King High School.
Yeah, this is a pretty balanced matchup. I think either alliance could take this one. 2960 and 51 have both been shooting very well at this event, but so has 573 and 226. This one could actually be decided not by the two offensive robots, but by the robot we expect to go play defense, which would be 322 and 8352.
Do most of these teams, Dan, for either alliance at this point of the season, do they primarily have two offensive-minded robots and then a defensive-minded robot, or does that shift a little bit?
It depends on the alliance, but I would say that that's sort of like the default. If you don't know what strategy to play, you're going to have your best two shooters play offense and the third robot go play defense. And I would expect that here, but, you know, sometimes they'll weave in shots. So being able to score your ball in autonomous mode, that's 4 points. That helps, right? And then same thing at the end of the match is, despite the fact that maybe you were playing defense all match, if you can get back and get your hang for those extra hang points, that can make a difference as well.
Well, the good news is we avoided the delay that we thought was about to happen. And yet, we're still a little bit on hold.
Yeah, we can see the field is green, so we're just waiting on one last team.
I'm missing, no, I see 6 robots. So that's, do I see 6? I see 6.
Yeah, one more hiding behind the hub there in the middle. And we have everybody connected, but I was just checking in, I think, on one of the robots to make sure. Sometimes the controls are not set up, and we want to make sure the gamepads are plugged in and reading correctly.
So you can see everyone in the Alliance stations poised and ready to jump on the 15-second autonomous period.
Yep, setting up, picking their auto mode there. Teams will use the Xbox controllers. You can use PlayStation controllers, basically anything you can plug into the computer. And that white line that you can kind of see on the edge of the screen there, that's the autonomous line. So everybody has to stand behind that line while everything is pre-programmed, and then they can step across that line, pick up their controllers, and start driving as soon as that first 15 seconds has passed. We got thumbs up though, so I think we're about to get going here.
And again, 2 quarterfinal wins moves you into the semifinals. This is the 4th and 5th seed. Red Alliance gets 2 balls up quickly. And boy, the Blue Alliance.
A lot of shots.
Yeah, but not all of them went in to that upper hub.
And 51 reloading one more time. They're the last robot still moving here. Didn't quite grab that last ball.
So not a high-scoring autonomous period as we move to the tele-operated period.
Yep. 18 to 16, it's pretty close. And like I said, the offensive power on these 2 alliances is fairly evenly matched. So it's going to come down to execution in this one.
So we're kind of trying to see who's playing defense for the Blue Alliance. And that Martin Luther King High School robot.
Yep.
Fairly active defensively.
And that's good. And you see, like, we didn't see this in previous events, but 322 and 352 both carrying 2 balls, again, of the other alliance's color. So they're trying to deny opportunities to pick up those extra balls and play defense on top of that. It's good. Red is starting to pull away a little bit. 226 adds a couple back here.
Doesn't look like we're in line for a 100-plus point outing from either team, but that's just fine. We see a long, a shot that was supposed to go to the upper hub lands in the lower hub. Not by design.
You take those, but yeah, still a point.
A point's a point, that's true. Not great shooting that we can see by the Blue Alliance, consisting of Troy High, Marion, and Brother Rice High School, and Martin Luther King High School.
226 with a few misses. 573 is doing a good job, but just a little bit slow getting that final shot lined up. They've fallen behind just a little bit more, but this is still only an 11-point match right now, and that can be turned in the end game.
Now the Seaholm High School robot Automation Nation getting some cargo points in the upper hub to pad that lead, but boy, there is not much. That'll make this hangar zone scoring so critical. We see the Blue Alliance already making moves that way.
One last shot from Red, so it's going to be 11 points going into this end game. But Red with the early advantage. We've already got 1 up on the high bar from each side.
The Hammerheads robot from Troy High School struggling. Red Alliance, not so much.
573 dropped a hook. You can see they could keep going, but 1 hook fell off. They're going to have to settle for just the high bar instead of the traversal bar. Meanwhile, on the other side, 51, we can see all the way up on that traversal bar. 2960 getting a high bar. 226 came in at the last second for the 4-point low bar hang. That means Red with the advantage going into the end game, and the end game advantage feels pretty good here.
We'll add up the hangar zone points to get a final tally, but here's what happened earlier.
Yeah, 51 likes to get close. They have that kind of that layup shot where they get right next to the goal. If they can get in that position, they are very accurate. So you can see them taking a couple there. Reloading, they got to fight their way through the defense to get back. And there they are again in that close-up layup shot, and 1 of 2 because I think they got hit at the very last second there. And here's where 573 is trying to release the initial hooks so that they can reach up again to the traversal bar. They had a little bit of a mishap, but a good job by that drive team on 573 to stop before they fall all the way off and secure at least those 10 points. And 51 will use that same rotary mechanism that we saw in our first match to lock onto the traversal bar. 2960 running out of time, though. So they did leave some points on the table.
Yeah, the combination of the slight edge and cargo points, slight edge and hangar points, that's going to roll all up into a Red Alliance win here in this first quarterfinal.
Yeah, so it ends up being a comfortable win. 22 points, not bad. But a couple things go differently in Autonomous, a couple things go differently in terms of which balls stay in and which balls bounce out in Cargo. And the hangar, I mean, we know that 573 can get up to that traversal bar, and if they do that instead of getting stuck, that's a few more points in the hangar section. So this one, still very much anybody's game going into our second match.
Let's head downstairs. Kaylee Marentet working the sidelines for us this afternoon.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm here with a member from 51, Red Alliance. Tell me how you're feeling after that win.
I think we did pretty good. We worked really hard, and I feel like all the work is paying off right now. I think we got a chance in this.
What do you think is going to be your biggest challenge going into today?
The defense. They're hitting us from everywhere, but we're pushing it, we're getting our shots, and we're hanging, so that's good.
What do you want to tell your teammates going into the next match?
Keep it strong, keep the energy up, because we got this. Even if we don't win here, we still got something to learn, and we learned a lot.
Gotcha. What do you think went right for you guys? What are you going to carry on for the rest of the day?
All the energy that we get from our people in the stands, the cheering and everything. We know that we work really hard, and I think that's the biggest part.
Okay, all right, thank you, and good luck for the rest of the day. Back to you guys.
All right, Kaylee, thank you. Yeah, the little bit of a step back from the 130-plus point performance, but...
Yeah, just some numbers on our first two matches. So in that last match we just watched, the winning alliance put in 20 balls in the high goal in Teliat, which is pretty good. In the first match, that number one seed that won put in 33. So everybody's got a pretty big mountain to climb to catch up to that number one alliance there.
That is humbling. Not quite twice as many, but still.
Yeah.
It's in the right direction. Well, we know, I think we pretty much know who the big dog is in this race.
Yep, but we're coming up on our number 2 alliance playing here. And our number 2 alliance has got a couple of great scoring robots as well. So this is our number 2 seed. It's going to be 5460 and 2337. Probably the next 2 best shooting robots at this event. So we'll see if they can get close to that score.
So the number 2 alliance, what do we know about them and their strengths?
5460 had some issues with their traversal climb. They replaced a lot of the parts kind of yesterday and today to get it worked out. And we saw it in their last qualification match. It went up all the way to the traversal. So they've got the 15-point hang in the bag, and they're also a great shooting robot. We want to watch 2337, who's going to kind of be hiding on the far side of the field. They're going to go for that 5-ball auto that we watched in the first match as well. So that's another key to look for. And can our Blue Alliance keep it close in autonomous?
Lots of shots into that upper hub for the Red Alliance. Blue Alliance try to keep up.
Yep, and 2337 now coming back in. They missed one of the 2 and weren't able to pull the trigger.
That's the relentless robot from Grand Blanc High School.
And again, it's 20 to 14, but in terms of potential there, the Blue Alliance kept that a lot closer than we would have expected. Meanwhile, Blue does have some decent shooting robots as well, 5053 and 1481, both capable of putting balls in the high goal. It's really just all about cadence or cycle time. It's how long does it take you to go out on the field, reload, get back, and take your next 2 shots.
Yeah, we're not seeing a ton of defense right now. I think both teams, well, I shouldn't say that.
6914 is chasing the 2337 robot around the field. That 2337 robot, though, is very agile. They've got a swerve drive. We're going to see a lot of teams with that, but they can move sideways, backwards, forwards, diagonally, whatever it takes. And so they're able to just kind of sneak free for a second and get lined up.
That's the relentless robot from Grand Blanc High School and the Engineers. And Red Alliance starting to build up with cargo points with upper hub scores.
Yeah, and all of the blue balls are kind of collecting on the red side of the field. And that's making it hard. You see 1481 is really struggling to pick up the 1 ball that's left on their side of the field and get back in position. And I think we've got 7192, right, does have 1 blue ball in their claw as they're playing defense. So that's 1 more ball that they are denying from the number 7 alliance.
Good catch there. That's the Croswell Lexington High School robot Homer. And we can see that it's now a 30-plus point lead for the Red Alliance. Blue Alliance just isn't scoring enough points.
Yep, so Blue is looking to go hang. 1481 is going to try to get on that traversal bar. Meanwhile, 5053 has to stay out on the field. They have to keep shooting very, very late here because they have to close this gap a little bit.
Red Alliance has only 1 now, trying to get all 3 of their robots in position. And good hangs for the Blue Alliance, but
5460 all the way up. 2337 is one of the few robots that skips a bar. They can go straight from the mid bar to the traversal bar, and they get theirs too.
So our number 2 seed Red Alliance, looks like all is well for them in the hangar zone. Let's start with the engineers.
Yep, you can see that kind of spin move there as they drift over to line up their shooter. And 6914 just coming around the corner a little too fast. If they could have gotten the hit right on time there, they might have caused a miss. But 2337 too fast to line up and shoot against the defense. And they're able to kind of spin away again, right, and reload. And here we see in the end game, 5460 already up and kind of skipping that middle bar to get the second traversal climb. And man, they really slam into that driver's
I was going to say, does
wall.
anybody get worried when they see that robot coming right at them? I don't know.
The team right there, I think, is them. So they're slamming into their own driver station wall.
So here's our final score. Well, they didn't get to 130, but boy, the hanger points come through big time for this number 2 Red Alliance.
Yep, and you can't get ahead of yourself, but this number 2 Alliance is focusing on winning the matches they're playing. But you better believe they saw the 132 that the number 1 seed put up, and they're trying to figure out, you know, kind of as they go through here, what can we test out that might work well against that? And when you go up ahead 1-0 in your quarterfinal match, you kind of have one to play with. They're the favorites in this quarterfinal matchup. In the next quarterfinal match, if there's anything they wanted to try that they think might be helpful if they make it to the finals to face the number 1 seed, they sort of have a match that they can play around a little bit in, but you know, you got to be careful because if you let off the gas too much, you know, you're gonna lose the match.
Yeah. To use a football analogy, it's kind of like if you have a big gain on first down, it opens things up for you on second and third down to experiment just a little bit.
That is exactly it. And so 1481, a good match there, but right, they weren't able to quite get all the way up in the end game hanging. So that's what we have to watch for in the next match.
And the work continues in the pits.
We're setting up. That was a good look at 910's robot, setting up on the field with the sparkly hair. Their robot is actually really cool. They are one of a few robots that will grab balls via an automated process. So they have cameras that are actually looking not only to aim and shoot, but they can find the balls on the ground and help the robot pick it up.
An extra set of eyes. Let's bring in Kaylee Marentet right now. Kaylee?
Hey guys, here with Jessica from the Blue Alliance. Not the outcome you were hoping for, but what do you think you are going to take from this into the rest of the day?
I mean, our teammates and us, we did really well considering the alliance we were up against. They have a really strong team, but we did some really great defense, our teammate did, and climb was really good. We hope in the future to get our third robot on the rungs and just shoot more balls and win some matches.
What do you think you want to change or make different maybe for next time?
I think that our one team member, getting them back to the rungs quicker and having them climb to get those extra 6 points would be really helpful.
Okay, what's going to be your mentality going through the rest of the day?
I mean, just keeping it positive. Like, anything's possible if you have a good attitude and you really, really want it, and we really want it. So have a good feeling about this.
I like that. I like the positive energy coming from you, Jessica. All right, well, good luck. Back to you, Dan and Dan.
All right, Kaylee, thank you.
Yep, and the returns of the hub. So you score in the high goal. There's 4 different places the ball can get returned to the field. And you can get a little bit lucky and have more balls fall out on your side. You can get a little bit unlucky and have more balls fall out on the other side. And that was something that we saw there with the number 7 Alliance. They just ran out of balls on their side of the field, which was not helping them either. So they could get a little bit luckier on that distribution as well in the second match.
Our fourth quarterfinal has a 3 seed against a 6 seed.
Yep, number 3 has got some great robots as well. 3534 is going to go for that multi-ball autonomous. Coming up a little short though. Meanwhile, 910's auto mode was excellent for Blue, giving them a small advantage.
Yeah, good scoring by Blue Alliance in autonomous as we segue into teleop.
Yeah, you can really see that 910 robot when those lights turn on. They're like huge flashlights. They're using those to make sure their cameras can see the balls on the field well. And that is when you know that they are using that automated pickup process.
Yeah, it's always nice to see kind of the unique features that are added on. I don't think I've ever seen a robot with those kinds of bright lights before.
Yeah, those are very bright. But again, like it helps a lot, especially if they're on a blind part of the field where they can't see where the balls are. That's when it really shines.
So still pretty low scoring, pretty close, as the 910 robot from Bishop Foley Catholic High School, the Foley Freeze, stuck, not moving right now. So now it moves back into action and fires up those lights again.
Yeah, sometimes they get a ball that jams just in front of the shooter, and usually the fix for them is to get the second ball in to help push it along. You can see they were able to get both shots off there. Problem solved for now.
Good shooting by both teams, not big scores, but makes this a very competitive quarterfinal match.
Still about 50 seconds left. They're not probably going to get to 100, but they could definitely get 80 or 90 here. And again, everybody's got the memo. 247 playing defense. They're playing defense with 2 red balls in the robot. 83-32 has kind of got stuck there. It looked like the robot stopped moving, but they do break out and make a couple shots.
Couple of makes for the Avondale High School robot Alpha. Team alternate reality, but boy, there is a lot of points left to get, and it's very close on the scoreboard as everybody moves into the hangar zone.
Yeah, so Red is down 3 points, but they believe they have the advantage in endgame. So they're just going to hang to try to secure it and make up those 3 points. They've got 2 on the traversal bar. 9-10 on the other side of the field is on the traversal bar, but 10-25 I think will not make it up, and 247 unable to hang at all. So Red, I think, with a small comeback there at the end in the hanging to take this one.
And as a side note, the Berkeley High School robot Ursa Major 247 did not attempt to hang.
Yeah, and they were kind of like turning violently on the field there. So I wonder if there was something going on with the drive. They weren't able to get over into position because they do have a hanger on that robot. I believe it can get the mid bar for 6 points, but unable to kind of get over. They also have to wait longer for other people to get out of the way. So here's a look at 9-10. This is where they kind of get one shot off, and then defense was good, so they faded over to a different spot on the field. And are able to get that second shot off. And there's a good look at those flashlights turning on to help find that ball.
And here we are in the hangar zone.
Yep, 9-10. They've got a different design. They lift up, put themselves on a second set of hooks, and then just repeat that process twice to get all the way up to the top.
So all signs point to this being maybe the most competitive and closest scoring quarterfinal match that we've had so far. This is the 4th of 8 quarterfinal matches, and yes, 85-77, 4 penalty points against the Red Alliance, not quite enough to swing it in favor of the Blue Alliance, but the hangar is where it happened for the Red Alliance.
Yep, those 4 penalty points, again, there's that protected spot, we call it the launch pad, on the front of the truss. One of the robots, I think it was 9-10, faded back to touch that, got hit by the defender, so they drew a 4-point penalty. But again, without the penalty, it's still 81-77. Match gets a little closer, but the outcome doesn't change. Blue needs to get a little bit farther ahead in the next match during Teliop, scoring in the hub, because Red is going to have that advantage in the endgame every time. So that's what we have to look for. Blue has to stay out for one more round of shots, and that could turn it.
So the Red Alliance has been the victorious alliance in these first 4 quarterfinal matches. And again, you have to win 2 quarterfinals to get to the semis. Let's head downstairs and bring in Kaylee.
Here with Luca from 83-32. Tell me how important that win was.
It was really good for us to get that first win. It was close, but we felt really good about it.
What do you think you need to do to make sure it's not close next time?
We just need to make sure we keep scoring accurately and make sure we keep getting those climb points.
What do you think is going to be one of the biggest obstacles for you guys today?
We need to make sure that we can get through defense and just keep getting accurate scores.
What's the most important thing to you guys right now?
Just staying calm and being ready for the next match.
All right, thanks, Luca, and good luck. We're going to send it back up to you guys, Dan and Dan.
Thanks, Kaylee. Thank you, Luca. And that is the Catholic Central section, the Shambots.
Yeah, and to his point, right, you get some defense played on you earlier in the qualification rounds, but it really ramps up here in the playoffs. And so some of these drivers might be seeing that defense kind of for the first time this year. And learning how to adjust and deal with that is one of the biggest kind of ways a driver can kind of influence the outcome of the match.
Here's a question. How do you build a robot to be strong defensively?
A lot of times, I mean, it just comes down to having a good drivetrain. There are some robots that might be tall enough to block shots. We haven't seen much of that. But if your drivetrain is strong and sturdy, you get some pushing power from it, then the other bit is really just having a smart driver, because sometimes you can't, just bulldoze somebody out of position, but beating them to a spot can always work as well. So if you know where they're going to try to shoot from, if you beat them to that spot and you defend sort of goal side out, you can have a bigger impact than if you get behind them and you're just chasing them around the field.
Together, let's change tomorrow as we get a feature now on 8PTVI, Activate. The state championships coming up 2 weeks from today, actually ending 2 weeks from today, but they'll start on April 13th at Saginaw Valley State. So we will certainly be on hand for that as we roll into this second quarterfinal match between these two alliances, number 1 and number 8. Again, a dominant performance by the Red Alliance, and they look dominant so far with the huge score in the autonomous.
Yeah, they hit pretty much all of their shots in autonomous, and that's given them a pretty big lead. And now we can see 27 doing a good job playing on the far side of the field, kind of getting out into the open to pick those balls up. We had another, long delay, making sure that the 7769 robot was reconnected to the field, but they're not moving again. So right here in the front of the field, we can see them. Got a ref and an FTA looking at that robot, and again, they dropped, and that's been their kind of bane this entire event.
Yeah, and it's Blue Alliance just flat out struggling to get shots up, and that's going to spell disaster.
Yeah, and look, you're playing number 8 seed against number 1 seed. This already would be a huge upset, and now you're down a robot for the second match in a row. It's going to be very, very hard for Blue to close this gap.
That's the Southeast, the OSTC Southeast Technical Campus School. Now it's back and running again, but still you've lost precious time.
Was down for almost 30 seconds, and that's a lot of time lost. You can see Red with a 39-point lead on the back of that.
Yeah, very hard to have those kind of mechanical errors when you're playing such a good alliance, but
yep,
it's all part of the learning process, though, too.
Yeah. And that's tough. And it's with a component that they don't really have a lot of control over. 67, by the way, previously got into that safe spot on the field, drew 2 penalties. So I think that's going to be an extra 8 points for the Red Alliance.
Into the hangar zone for the Blue Alliance, not 1 but 2 robots from Catholic Central High School. They're going to go for all 3, looks like.
Yeah, they're going to go for it. They're going to go for it because that's their, kind of the best thing they can do. But, you can't make up a 61-point deficit in just hanging. Red, meanwhile, has got 1 on the traversal bar. 27, a little bit of a struggle here. and is not able to quite complete their climb. So that is the first sign of weakness that we've seen from the #1 seed. 27 not fully completing the traversal climb there. They're still touching that high bar, so they're only going to get 10 points for that, not 15. But you know what? We're still going to have a 120-point score.
Just to be clear, you're talking about, okay, those 2 hanging hooks on the back.
Yep. They have to fully release. So
okay.
if you're touching 2 bars, the lower bar is what you're going to get credited for, and they're touching both here, so they're only going to get the 10 points for the high bar instead of 15 for the highest traversal bar.
Yeah, great camera work, and this is where Blue Alliance lost their robot,
77 to 69.
OSTC Southeast.
Yeah, and that is, again, it's their main computer. It's the Robo Rio 2, I believe, on that robot. And that thing has just been dropping on them all competition long. I think they've tried swapping it, they've tried re-imaging it, but it's just, that's a case of very bad luck.
And here's the Red Alliance making waves.
Yep, and this is where they need to be automatic, especially as they get later in this bracket. 67 going up, but you can see there's just a little bit of a struggle here from 27. They kind of hang there for a bit, and then it goes a little bit, but you know, it's too late in the match. And I wonder if their battery was just running low at the end of that match. That kind of looked to me like the battery was a little bit dead there, not putting out the power it needed.
Well, not a big surprise. Another dominant win for the Red Alliance. They win handily in cargo, a little bit more in hangar, and then the penalty points are impactful as well.
Yep, we can see the 4 points, I think, for Blue there was a Red Robot. 67, I think, had 3 cargo in their possession. You're only allowed to hold 2 at a time, so they picked up the 3rd. That's a 4-point penalty. For Red, we drew a bunch of that launch pad or that protected shooting zone penalties. And there was one more that, you know, we tend to call illegal defense, but that was hitting inside of a robot. When you play defense, you have to kind of hit bumper to bumper or outside edges to outside edges. If you reach in, that could be damaging, and so you'll get a penalty for that. But 16 penalty points, not really going to affect the outcome, but if you take those 16 penalty points away from that 122-point score, now you're all the way down to 106, and that is lower than some of the other scores we've seen.
Need those points. Let's go downstairs and check in with Kaylee.
Hey, Evan from Team 67 here. Evan, there's a lot of momentum that you guys have right now. How do you think you're going to keep that throughout the rest of the day?
Just keep doing what we're doing, try and keep, stay consistent, not necessarily go for the highest, just be safe. Like with our climb, we probably could cut it closer, get a couple more balls. There were times that we could do that, but we go to the climb just because we know that if we want to give it more time.
You said keep doing what you're doing. What is that? What are you guys doing that's going so right?
Just getting all the balls that we possibly can. Climbing, like I said, climbing on time, making sure that we aren't doing anything crazy dangerous. Just staying within our safe bounds.
What do you think is the biggest strength that the rest of your alliance is helping you with?
Getting more balls. Another climb is great. Mid-climb, too, is helping us a lot. So.
All right, sounds good. Good luck for the rest of the day. Back to you guys.
Yeah, thanks. Good insight. Yeah, a lot of, it seems like a very healthy mindset. Still ways to get better, but you still be comfortable with where you're at right now.
Teams have kind of personalities, and 67 is a team that you expect them to go out and execute every match. They won't necessarily take chances that could push their score higher, but they're going to consistently score a bunch of balls and get that traversal hang. And when you're the #1 seed, that's usually the safest way to play.
They know what they do well, and they know how to execute. So they very much stay on pattern. Now we move to another quarterfinal match between the 4 and 5 seeds. This one was fairly competitive. Red Alliance winning. There's the Blue Alliance consisting of Marion High School and Brother Rice High School, Troy High School, and Martin Luther King High School.
Yep, it was an 83 to 61 point first match in favor of the Red Alliance, our #4 seed.
And the reason for our slight delay here is apparently they forgot to turn on a robot, which is kind of an important thing.
Yeah, the system takes a little while. It takes about a minute after you turn the robot to do the full boot up and connect to the field. So forgetting to turn it on will be a small delay, but that's okay. We'd rather have all 6 robots working than a 3-on-2.
Absolutely.
So Red was comfortable in that first win. We saw them a little bit more consistent in the end game. 573 is the robot to watch on the Blue Alliance, our number 5 seed going into the end game. They dropped a hook when they were on the high bar and had to stop going for the traversal bar. They're going to need those points to close the gap up. And then it's going to have to be better shooting from the Blue Alliance. They kept it close, but they slowly fell away in cargo during that last match, and so we need to see them just hitting a few more of their shots.
Yeah, they lost by 19 points. Sorry, 21 points. And off we go with kind of a quick hit there by the Blue Alliance. They got a lot of points in that cargo hub already.
Some bouncing out for Blue, more bouncing out for Blue than Red. Yeah. 573 is back, can't make the shot.
So Red Alliance comes out on top in Autonomous. Let's see if they can make something up here early in the teleop period.
And that's a lot. 12 points in Autonomous is a lot for Blue to make up. So we're going to have to see some really, really crisp shooting now from 226 and 573. 226 drops 2 pretty quickly. And 51 got a little bit too close, got unlucky and had one of their shots bounce out.
That's the Pontiac High School Wings of Fire robot. So a little bit of back and forth with the Red Alliance bumping the lead up to 20+ points and still consistently going high into that upper hub with their cargo.
And we'll see. Got a penalty here. Not sure what that one was for. We'll check in on that. 83-52 kind of doing a good job of chasing 51 around, but 51 having that layup shot, they were protected there. So even though they got hit, the ball still went in the hub.
So if the Blue Alliance is going to win and push this into a third quarter final match, they'll probably have to do some significant scoring in the hangar zone.
Yep.
But we're not there yet.
A little bit too much traffic. The Blue robot's not spreading out nicely, and 83-52 is not moving. They are disconnected. I think they lost power. So what we do is when a robot stops moving, look at it. If you see any lights, I see no lights on that robot at all.
Actually, is that a pink light on the right?
322, we can see some. Yeah, so 322 has lights on their robot. They're disconnected, but they might come back. Meanwhile, for the Blue Alliance, 83-52's robot not moving. They have no lights that I can see on the robot from up here, and I think they're done for sure for the whole match. So this might end 2-on-2, or 322 might come back. There it is, 322 is back. They could add the hang, and that might be a big deal.
Well, Blue Alliance lost precious time with that DOA robot, and Red Alliance is going to very comfortably hang.
And that should do it. Red is all the way up, 2 traversal climbs. Blue answers a good climb from 573, getting up at the last second. But that only makes it even, right? Actually, 322 getting over there does not look like, oh, maybe they are hanging. I can't tell if 322 is off the ground from here. They got 1 of 2 hooks on, and yeah, that back corner is touching because they didn't get the second hook. So we're even in the hanging, but that big lead for Red going into endgame is probably going to be more than enough. And we do see there is a yellow card that was just given to the Blue Alliance. And that was, again, you're not allowed to, when you play defense, you got to stay on the outside of the robot. You got to have bumper-to-bumper contact. And I believe they reached inside another robot. And actually, if you reach inside when you're playing defense and cause damage, that's a yellow card. And I think that's what that yellow card was for.
So here's what's happened earlier, and that's the 83-52 Martin Luther King High School robot that eventually...
Yep, and that was the moment right there. Like, as they came across that middle bump, it just stopped working. It just turned off completely. And I can't quite tell what caused it, but we knew they weren't coming back. Meanwhile, Red, you know, this is a good, solid endgame. Both these robots going up. They're able to go up together next to each other. And no problem. They're both going to get that high traversal, the highest traversal bar for 30 points total.
Downstairs we go to Kaylee Marentet.
John from the Red Alliance here. John, tell me how you're feeling. They're announcing right now that you guys had just got that win. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. You know, we've got a tough match coming up against Alliance number 1. But, you know, I think there's always a chance that you can win, so we're going to play our best next match and hopefully come out on top.
you guys are going into a tough match. What's going to be the most important thing here?
I think the most important thing is probably playing some good defense, just because with #1 Alliance having Rush and Hot on them, they're going to have a lot of scoring potential. And so if we can prevent some of that with hopefully 3-2-2, we'll play some defense, and hopefully we can lock them down and win from there.
You guys are going into a tough match, like you said. You can't let it get in your head. What's going to be your mentality going into this?
Anything's possible. You know, you just got to put your best foot forward. You're not going to win if you're stressed out, so got to stay relaxed.
That's a good mindset. I agree with that. All right, thanks, John. Good luck. We're going to send it back upstairs.
There's our final tally. Another 100-point effort. That's our 4th of the day. Not all by the same alliances, but still, you break 100, you got some good things going.
Yep, for sure. A little unlucky. The Blue Alliance, something to watch for, too, as we go forward, is all of their robots shot at the same time in auto mode. And I think that contributed to a lot of them bouncing out, which set them behind for kind of the whole match. Meanwhile, 106, there are 12 penalty points aiding that, though. But remember, the #1 seed only put up 122 with 16 penalty points of their own. So those two scores are actually very close together. And the #1 seed has got to be worried about what they're seeing here. So we got two higher seeds.
Yeah,
both
so
made it.
here we go now into a #2 against a #7 quarterfinal. The #2 seed dominated, but here's what we have. Melvindale, Mercy, and Our Lady of the Lakes put up 61 points. And the Grand Blanc and Center for Innovation and Croswell Lexington High School robots, well, they were rock solid, 113 points. You can certainly build off of that.
Yeah, so the question is, Red's coming out. Red's going to do the same thing they did last match. They're going to try to execute better, push that score higher. The question is, what is Blue going to do to come back in this match? And they tried to play some defense last time, and it was semi-effective. They've got to get a little bit better positioning on those defensive robots.
So what are those last-minute things that, like, we see the Alliance happening in the Alliance stations?
A lot of that is they actually can select their autonomous mode from the computer remotely. So they might be picking that after everything is connected. Also, you're going to check and make sure your joysticks or your game pads are plugged into the right port. You don't want to lose for a stupid reason, like the plugs were crossed up and the driver was controlling the wrong thing, right? So they're going to check all of that stuff before it starts. They're also checking to make sure their cameras connect, they get good camera views, and basically that everything is connected together.
So we have our first semifinal matches all set. Alliance 1 will compete against Alliance 4. We are now going to fill out the other 2 semifinal matches. And here comes our thumbs up. And our autonomous period begins. Let's see who comes out on top here. Red Alliance getting the first cargo up to that top hub. That's going to get them the most points.
Yep.
Blue Alliance not as efficient here in this autonomous period.
54-60 and 23-37 both missed a bunch of shots there in auto mode. So it's a 28 to 8 point score, but this could be worse.
Yeah, that makes the uphill climb even bigger for the Blue Alliance. Does that change your philosophy of what you're trying to do when you come up so empty in the autonomous period?
Yeah, but you really just got to go to the programmers and get that fixed, because autonomous, there's not a lot of other things you can try other than fixing your program. There's no strategic adjustments you can make there. So the programmers are hopefully watching the tape of what happened and can make that adjustment on the fly.
But I guess what I meant was, does it change what you're going to do in the teleop period?
And this is really hard because we know Blue needed to come, and score more, keep closer in this teleoperated period. So to start out even that far behind, they really are going to have to completely sell out now. So 69-14, doing a decent job of playing defense. They are one of the robots, though, that is playing defense without the other team's balls in the robot. So they don't have red balls in the robot right now. And that is just leaving too many opportunities on the field for 23-37 and 54-60 to score.
Do teams chart in practice, Dan, how many shots they get up in the 2 minute and 30 second or 2:15 whatever they do? Okay,
absolutely. So that stuff is always going to be. You have scouts that are tracking that for your team and other teams, and when you practice, if you're just doing practice matches at home, you're going to be timing it. You're going to be counting as well.
So still a wide margin of lead for the Red Alliance. They've already won the first semifinal matchup.
Yep, something is up with 50-53. They're kind of trying to get, or they're waiting to play defense on the hang, it looks like.
That's Our Lady of the Lakes, the noisy cricket robot.
That was a smart play. They needed to find a way to come back, so they tried to trap, slow down the Engineers, the 23-37 robot, from getting the traversal climb. But I think it backfired. They came late to their side, didn't get their hang. 23-37 is up for their hang, but I think it's even worse than that because I think 50-53 is going to get penalized for that defense late. Now, in the end game, the last 30 seconds of the match, you cannot be defending inside. We're looking at this truss structure here. You can't be defending inside that zone. And if you hit a robot that's kind of over that tape line, you actually give up a full free 15-point climb, and that might have happened at the end of that match. I did see a ref waving a flag, but 23-37 made it all the way up anyway.
Here's what happened early in this quarterfinal match between the 2 and 7 seed. And we mentioned it did not start well in the autonomous period for the Blue Alliance.
You can see 1481 is on that ball. They haven't quite picked it up. That's an extra ball that they want to be shooting. Meanwhile, 50-53 only goes 1 for 2 after they picked up some extra balls. And Red could have really taken off with that one, but 23-37 missing, I think, both of their last second shots.
And we move to the hangar zone. Again, the Red Alliance just moving very efficiently and quickly to get maximum points.
Yeah, and they've got that. Both of these teams, 23-37 and 54-60, have had a little bit of problems with their hang earlier in this event, but they've also both got it, really, really polished at this point.
There's our scoring, 102-25. Dominant in both cargo and hangar. Penalty points being a complete non-factor. Downstairs we go to Kaylee.
Hey guys, Emily from 23-37 here in the Red Alliance. Tell me how important that win was for you.
I would say it's decently important. I mean, obviously the goal is we want to move on and continue to do our best. So we just take things one match at a time.
What do you think? I mean, there was a big gap. You guys had a really, really strong league. What went right for you? What do you think gave you that big lead?
Really just focusing on the details, making sure that, as we're picking up the cargo, making sure that, we're lining up and making our shots, and then just the timing of everything. And I think that's really what allows us to take the lead.
Is there anything you think you want to change for the next match?
I mean, we always want to continuously improve. So just continuing to improve our cycle times, getting quicker, and continuing to do what we've been doing, but even better. So.
All right, good insight. Thank you, Emily. We're going to send it back upstairs.
All right, Emily, thank you, and thank you to Kaylee as well. We have just, maybe our last quarterfinal match with a 3 and 6 seed showdown. This was our closest quarterfinal match, so kind of a could go either way mindset, really, for both of these alliances.
Yeah, this is probably the closest matchup, and we're seeing that on the scoreboard. But I would have picked this as the scariest upset potential in the first round. That said, Red was able to get on the back of their strong end game. They were able to secure that first win, and I think Red underperformed in the first match too. So they have room to do better here as well. But keep an eye again on 9-10 Foley Freeze. They have a very solid autonomous mode. They're going to be trying to look to shoot 5 balls. And they've got all kinds of lights on that robot.
Is that one of the most well-lit robots you've ever seen in your
When they
tenure?
turn those flashlights on to track the balls, yes, for sure. But the underglow, right? We got that blue underglow there. That's just to look cool. That doesn't have a purpose other than that.
That's fashion, not function, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so again, this match, right? Blue actually outscored red in cargo in ball points. So it was the end game where red came back and got those 2 traversal climbs that really kind of stole the match back.
We saw that 9 of diamonds card on the young gentleman right there in the pits. Does that mean anything, or is it like...
So I'm not sure. Okay, I know that card came from their alliance partner, which is House of Cards, and they give those out. But as to whether or not the 9 of diamonds specifically has a meaning, I don't know.
And away we go, autonomous. Red getting some cargo up into that upper hull. Blue Alliance doing it as well, so...
Yep, 9-10, 2 shots, and now they're going for their last reload here.
Yeah, pretty good start for the Blue Alliance. They're going to win the autonomous period, but there's still a lot left to go here.
Yeah, I mean, 83-32 in particular in the first match. I don't think they scored as many as they're capable of. Like, look how fast that was. 2 balls, both of them in. Their shots are also back-to-back. They don't waste any time in between shots. So once they get in position, and they just drop 2 more in. So this is a much better start from 83-32, and they are slowly closing the gap.
Yeah, the Davison High School Red Alliance robot House of Cards struggling to shake off the defense that's being put on by Berkeley High School's Ursa Major robot.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about teams having sort of profiles. 247 has always been a robot that when it needs to play hard defense, it can do that.
Not much let up there, and the Blue Alliance has moved ahead. Not by much, but again, every shot into that upper or lower cargo hub is going to be important.
10-25 just kind of doing a nice job of staying out of the way, collecting some balls, and putting them in the high goal. But all of the balls are on the red side of the field right now. Just about every single ball. There's 1 red ball on the blue side, and that is it. Also, the Red Alliance, I don't know why this is, but their human player did not throw the ball onto the field. So that is 1 less ball that they have to work with, and that ball is almost always shot during autonomous, but it's just sitting there, not being used. And so when you see, 35-34 and the Avondale robot 83-32 looking for balls on the field, there's 1 less than there should be.
Well, this is pretty wide open here. We see Red Alliance now. They're going to have to make up points here in the hangar zone. The 35-34 robot is Davidson High School's Windmill Solitaire. That's an efficient hang.
Yep, and they did make up points last time, but they need to make up more points this time. It's a 19-point deficit. So they're going to need not only to hit their climbs, they're going to need Blue to miss a climb.
And they're only going to get 2 of their 3 robots hung. I don't think that last Red Alliance robot's going to get up.
Oh, but they do.
Wow.
Last second. And actually, I think it's enough.
Because Blue Alliance, from our vantage point, we only see 1 robot hanging, right?
Only 1 robot on the traversal bar. So I think it was a 19-point lead for Blue going into the end game. And I think Red just made up 21 points with the hangs. We're going to have to wait for the official score. This one is close enough, too, that like 1 penalty that didn't get put in yet, that could turn it.
Well, you could see these robots buzzing all over. Man, that is a full throttle defensive assault by the appropriately named battering rams from Lamphere High School.
Yep, that hit right there, that could be a penalty. They were up inside the bumper, the frame perimeter there. So I think they got called for a penalty on that one. But, you can't back off too much because otherwise 9-10 is just going to keep scoring.
Yeah.
And here we see 35-34 already up, and 83-32, it's an effective traversal climb. They swing a lot, so there are moments where you got to be a little bit scared. But no problem as they ice the end game and theoretically save the match.
We mentioned we have not had a Blue Alliance win yet. We have 7 quarterfinal matches that have been played. So it's going to come down to these last few points that are up for grabs. And we can see that the hangar zone not kind to the Blue Alliance and their 3 robots.
Good hang there, though, by 9-10.
Yeah, the officials cannot rush through this because the scoring is certainly very significant and critical right now. Let's find out.
Just to underline that point too, that 83-32, the Avondale Robot, yesterday in a match, they fell off the bar with that violent swinging and actually broke the turret off their robot. So they got to be a little bit careful there. There is a reason for concern.
Well, if you like your quarterfinal matches close scoring, then you would watch the number 3 and number 6 seeds all day, because it is a 2-point win for this Red Alliance. The cargo points in favor of the Blue Alliance. The hanger points, though, Red Alliance is where the difference comes.
Yep, so a well-played match by our number 6 Alliance. Number 3 really breathing a sigh of relief here to make it through the quarterfinals. They are going to have to get their cargo game fixed to be able to compete at the next tier here in the semifinals.
Let's go downstairs and rejoin Kaylee.
Hey guys, I'm here with Peyton from the Red Alliance. All I have to say is, wow, I'm getting a little nervous there. How did you feel when you saw the score was so close?
It was a little close for comfort, but I'm glad we pulled through. I knew we could do it.
Yeah, that had to be one of the fastest climbs I've seen in a while. What got you through that? How did you get up there so fast?
Just our programmers, they do a really good job. It's all autonomous. We trust the robot. We know our quality's good, and we just go.
What are you going to take from that match moving forward?
We're definitely going to learn a lot, drive a lot smoother, and just keep up the tempo.
What do you think is going to be one of the biggest obstacles you guys are going to face today?
Definitely defense. We felt a lot of it right there, and it's only quarterfinals, so it's only going to get worse.
All right, well, good luck, and thank you, Peyton. Thank you. We're going to send it back upstairs.
All right, Kaylee, thank you. Yeah, lots of drama in both of those quarterfinal matches between those two. So, yeah, we've definitely got to keep up with these top 4 seeds, and we'll set the stage for them coming up in just a moment. Number 1 against number 4, and number 2 against number 3. Alternate reality from Avondale High School. Earlier, Kaylee Marentate speaking with Allison from that squad.
Hey guys, I'm joined with Allison from 8332. Allison, tell me about your coaching technique. It's a little different than what other teams might see, and about how you set up your shop for these students to build.
All right, so first of all, I'm also the coach of 3538. We have 2 FRC teams this year.
Okay.
And as an organization, we want to focus on our students having a broad range of experiences and skills. So we also want our team to be dynamic and be able to adapt to the variety of situations at hand that one sees in FRC. So rather than organizing our students into subgroups where they have like one thing that they focus on, we organize everybody using what we call a 3x3 grid. So we have all of the skills that we need our team to be successful listed out, and like what constitutes, being functionally competent in that and being able to do that independently and confidently. And every skill, we want to have at least 3 students that can do that. And every student, we want to have at least 3 skills. And the former of those kind of protects from what we call the bus factor, like unexpected interruptions. If every skill has multiple students that can fill in at any given time, then our progress and operations are protected from mishaps. And if every student has multiple different skills that they can do, then they are able to contribute at any point in time. The nature of FRC is that, you don't necessarily need a student doing electrical every day. But you need students that can do electrical when you need to do that.
Yeah, so have someone on hand. Yeah. Do you think that gives you an upper hand here in the arenas?
We think it definitely does. The students feel confident in that, if they experience something unexpected, because they're used to floating around and familiar with a lot of different areas of operations, they're never siloed into one thing. When something unexpected does come up, the unexpected isn't unfamiliar. And that's what we want to develop in them. We want them to leave this team feeling confident that they are ready to identify and solve problems, which is actually something that we've been focusing on throughout this year, is the importance of being able to solve problems. And we think that that's actually a core contributor to successful teams, is that they have a process by which they can recognize that something is going wrong and then slow down and be like, okay, how do we figure out what's going wrong? So that's been a huge focus, but the students' ability to be dynamic definitely contributes to that.
I think that's an interesting way that you have set that up, but obviously beneficial.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for your time, Allison. We're going to send it back to you, Dan and Dan.
Thank you, Kaylee, as we update our bracket, brought to you by the Dream Makers Fund. So, not a huge surprise. 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, and away we go. Autonomous period, Red Alliance dominant for sure in the first 2 quarterfinal matches, but the autonomous period very kind to the Blue Alliance, which consists of Wings of Fire, Automation Nation, and Team Fire from Southwestern Classical Academy, Seaholm, and Pontiac High School.
Yeah, Blue was able to keep it close in auto. Red taking a small advantage, but now a really, really quick start by the Red Alliance in that high goal. So Blue's got their work cut out for them. They're already down 20 points.
You could see some pretty good numbers by the Blue Alliance, but man, keeping up with this Red Alliance, this #1 seed, Huron Valley, Clarkston, and International Academy, man, you just have to go guns blazing.
Yeah, just look at the time, right? They both just shot. 67 and 51 both just shot. 67 just shot again. And if you just keep getting a little bit ahead on that, also here's a great view of 67. They've got that double-sided intake, so they can pick up balls from either side, but they look kind of rough here. Remember, the drivers can't see this very well. They're looking through that giant structure in the middle to try to pick up that ball. So that's the hardest place kind of on the field to go to try to grab stuff.
Dan, what would you be doing defensively if you were trying to disrupt what the Red Alliance is doing?
This is hard, especially with that swerve drive. 67 is able to just kind of slide around the field. So I do like 322 chasing down 27. And look, they just caused 2 misses. 3 misses with a bounce out there. Meanwhile, 43-84, we don't need to be seeing defense against that. You need to be on 27. So they kind of drifted. They lost their focus. And here's the situation where I think they need to have, man defense. They need to follow them around the field the whole time.
Off to the hangar zone we go. Blue is going right for those points. They won't make up 40 points, I don't think, but
no,
what the heck?
I mean, really, if disaster happens, you can make up maybe 30. 40 is probably out of reach, but a very, very good end game by Blue. They've got their 2 traversal robots and 322 coming in to add that mid bar.
And the Red Alliance end game is, about 100% too, so.
Yep. So that's going to be another 36 points for Red. So we're looking at, I think this is going over 140. I think this is going to be the highest score Red put up so far in these elimination rounds, in these playoffs.
So let's replay it and re-see where the ambush comes from the Red Alliance.
Blue doing a nice job making the shots, but now here's the second load from Red. So there's 5 more balls, and they all stayed in, which is the key. And then 27 actually is going to come back at the very end here and get a couple more shots off, and those went into, that was almost a perfect autonomous mode from the #1 seed, but Blue doing quite well to keep it close. And then this is in driver mode, right? Just immediately firing a bunch of balls off. 2960 doing a good job picking up some balls. Again, it's hard to see inside that area, so that was really well done. But a hit there from 4384 causes the misses.
And here's our final tally. A dominant Red Alliance win. Actually, it all comes through cargo. Both teams very good in hangar. 36 points is very strong, but it's the cargo scoring that does it for the Red Alliance and pushes them.
Yeah,
I mean, you're for Alliance for 100 points.
100
you're like,
points.
hey, that's not bad.
100 points.
And you get rolled by 40-plus points. Anyway, we'll talk about that after we hear from Kaylee.
Hey guys, I'm here with a member from 4384 from the Red Alliance. Tell me how important that was for you.
This match has been really important for us. We're so proud to be here. We're giving it our best. We're following our strategy, making plans, and just having fun.
You guys have been scoring really, really high, I feel like, every time. Why is that? How are you guys doing this?
So we're dividing up the work, you know. Right now, as if you've been seeing the match, we've been playing quite well defense, trying to help our high shooters really get their points in. So we've been having this strategy, dividing up the work, setting the field, you know, playing well defense, and just progressing on that.
What do you think is the most important thing you need to take forward?
The most important thing we need to take forward is teamwork. Obviously, work together to build a robot, strategize, and for our drivers when they're playing, having good communication and just going forward with their ideas. You know, because for us, it's a two-player game per team, so we're working as hard as possible to communicate well and just go out there and have fun.
It's all about the communication and fun, you're right. All right, well, good luck. We're going to send it back upstairs.
All right, Kaylee, thank you. Yeah, here's our next semifinal match. This will be number 2 Alliance against the number 3 Alliance. We'll hear from one of our corporate sponsors, DTE, about their Motor City Alliance.
The Motor City Alliance was formed in order to address the needs that we were seeing in the city of Detroit, where we saw lots of public schools that were working in silos and didn't have the support they needed to really excel in STEM. We have seen tremendous change in our students, particularly over the past year as the Motor City Alliance has accelerated our efforts.
Every year we get more and more involved. We do a lot of outreach. We have students working with kids one-on-one. We are starting teams, starting things like the Motor City Alliance, doing whatever we can to allow that enthusiasm that comes through that exploration and innovation to pass that on to the next generation.
Robotics helps skills like innovation and creativity by basically nurturing them. So robotics helps to build on those skills and even broaden them to the point where nothing limits your imagination or creativity.
The reason why we're able to hold a large event with 20 to 30 teams are because of the financial resources that DTE is bringing to bear. DTE is absolutely crucial into us being successful here in Michigan and here in Detroit.
Dan, generic question. We've seen the Red Alliance, the top-seeded Red Alliance, score 120-plus points in all 3 of their matches. Do you get a sense when you watch them work collectively, you can't score that many points without being, you know, kind of an offense-first mentality? You've said earlier that a lot of teams will have their third robot will be defensive-oriented.
Yeah, and that's what makes them so scary, is their third robot is still playing defense, but they're doing a really good job of spreading the field out. They're never getting in each other's way. And somebody's always free. Either 27 or 67 is always slipping free to get those open shots.
And maybe philosophically, to extend on the question, can't the Red Alliance just say, hey, look, our best 2 robots are so good offensively, we don't need to play defense on your terms. We can just sell out and go all offense and make that third robot just as good as the other 2.
They could do that. Their third robot is not going to score quite as quickly as they are, and I think they're making the calculation that it'll have a bigger net impact by playing defense on the best scoring robot on the other alliance. But yes, they are one of the few alliances here that has that option of just saying, hey, everybody shoot for this match.
You hear that philosophically, the philosophical parts from basketball coaches, football coaches. Offense wins games, defense wins championships, so this kind of maybe runs counter to that, I guess.
Yeah, the defensive robot can make up a big difference, but it's sort of like you get these sort of isolated battles, right? These ISOs, right? Where you have one offensive robot and one defensive robot. And whoever wins that matchup the most, right, gets the advantage.
So we move to our next semifinal match with Davis and Avondale Academy and Lanphier as the Blue Alliance.
Right, and we want to watch 7192. They're actually going to pass this ball. They're going to try to pass the ball to their partner because 7192 can only score in the low goal. So if they can pass that off to 5460, they can go high goal with it, but the pass did not connect in that match.
Autonomous period ends with a close score between this number 2 and number 3 seed.
Yep. Number 2 has the advantage in cargo. Number 3, though, much more defense played in their quarterfinal match. So we're going to see if that has an effect here. Meanwhile, that is a penalty, 54-60, hitting a robot in the protected zone. So that's an extra 4-point bump, which ties the matchup.
Back-to-back makes by the Red Alliance, and Blue Alliance misfiring with 2 of their 3 cargo shots.
Yeah, 35-34, getting defended pretty effectively here. Meanwhile, 83-32 needs to pick up the pace a little bit. It looks like when they get defended, when they're getting hit, sometimes that robot stops working for a little bit.
Very close scoring here. Not much separation at all, but still lots of time left. A slight Red Alliance lead.
Yeah, 54-60 is doing a great job continuing to put up shots, as is 23-37. We got a problem here. 83-32 lost their bumper. Now, if that bumper comes completely detached from the robot, that robot can be disabled, can be turned off because of that. So keep an eye on our referees. We'll see if they go for that disable. But 83-32 sees that, knows that they were already having trouble, and they're going to try to get hanging before their robot gets turned off, because if they get turned off after they're on the traversal bar, those points still count.
A lot of time left, but the Blue Alliance moving 2 robots into the hangar zone to try to get points. Bumper falls off.
Yep. So we
is
see
that a penalty?
The ref is coming over. That robot's going to get turned off, but whatever height it gets to before it's turned off still counts. And so it looks like they're off now. They can't continue climbing, but they made it to the high bar, so they secured those 10 points by going there and doing that quickly now.
So in theory, losing that bumper doesn't really hurt them.
But it did in this case, because that is one of the high goal scoring robots on this alliance, and they lost over a minute of play.
Right.
They had to go hang so early. They were not making shots, and you can see like they're behind by quite a bit. 32 points going into endgame, and Red, major issues at the end of that match as well. 71-92 tipping over. 54-60 only making it to the mid bar, not being able to complete their traversal, as we were kind of held up with the bumper drama. So Red dropped their end game that would have left an opening if 83-32 was able to kind of play and score during the match. But you can see there, one of the hooks not set for 54-60, so there's no reason in a match like this to try and hang higher anyway. They had the win more or less secured. Don't risk the robot.
So kind of a funky hang for that Red Alliance robot. That's the Center for Innovation's Dart robot from Strike Zone. Let's re-rack it and go back to the beginning.
Yep, so good auto mode from both sides. Blue is hitting their shots, 35-34 reloading. Take a look at 71-92 in red here. They're going to try to execute that pass to 54-60, and the ball just curves away, unluckily. But 23-37 coming back with a couple more shots, and they hit 1 of 2.
Here's where the bumper goes sideways. And let's see.
There it is,
yep,
that
right
far
there.
side. It just kind of started coming loose.
And I don't know, we may not see this in the replay, but the other blue robot tried to help and push that back on, and actually was successful in at least positioning it properly.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
might be it here.
Right, so they're able to kind of
right there.
And that's a smart move too. It helps them get across the field without getting shut down. Something to note though is this alliance that's wearing blue bumpers was wearing red bumpers in their last match. They had to swap their bumpers over in between matches, and looks like something either broke off or something wasn't set all the way on that robot before they took the field.
Here's the final score, 113-79. Wow, 82 cargo points. Is that the most we've had this afternoon? I haven't...
I don't think that's
I mean, there might be a
most.
90 point, but
yeah,
anyway.
I think our number 1 alliance did have one match that was higher than that, than the 82 cargo points there. But it was a great match.
Kaylee Marentet is in the sidelines today. Go ahead, Kaylee.
Hey guys, I'm here with Logan from 71-92, part of the Red Alliance. Tell me how you're feeling after that match.
Oh, we're feeling pretty good. We fell over right there at the end, but I think we'll try not to do that again.
How are you going to make sure you try not to do that again?
We're just going to not overcorrect as hard. Maybe let it go further than we want it to go.
Okay, gotcha. All right, I got to ask about this outfit.
Yeah, it's, well, we're the Blue Thunderneers, and we're thinking Thunder, Thor. We got the hammer and the cape, just setting it up.
Can you hold that hammer up for us? Can we see it?
Got our hammer here.
You guys have like cheer or anything, or what do you guys do? You guys stood out to me.
Well, we just raise our hammers in the air, and we shout our number.
All right, sounds good. Okay, well, congrats on the win, and thanks for spending some time with me, Logan. All right, back to you.
All right, Logan had me with just the cape. Then I saw the wide shot with the hammer.
Yep.
He went all in, Logan. Outstanding.
All right, and our stats department, which consists of one Mike Schreiber, who is amazing at giving me the information to make me look smart, came back with semifinal 1. The number 1 seeded Alliance put up 100 points in cargo. And that is the highest at this event so far. So 82 is very, very good, but the number 1 seed is capable of going even higher than that.
Yeah, they're all rocking the blue capes. Mike, you should have a blue cape on too. That's how super you are for Dan Kimura. He's off headset, so he doesn't get that joke, but we'll fill him in later. Still a little bit of time. We're back to a semifinal match with the number 1 Alliance. I can't compute these numbers quickly, but they've had 132, 122, and 142 points. Actually, I can't compute this.
It
averages to a 132.
132, yep.
That's going to be tough to beat. And the 100-point outing that the Blue Alliance put in, very good, but man, you got to wonder if you're the Red Alliance. You wonder, obviously, the robots are not self-aware and do not have a concept of self-confidence, but the drivers do.
Mm-hmm.
When you are consistently nailing it, what do you think their mindset is coming into something like this when you just know if we do what we want, we win?
It's a positive feedback loop, right? So that's why getting off to that 132-point score in the very first match that our number 1 Alliance played, it's just like now you're like, okay, everything is going to work out. We just do what we're capable of doing. We're going to put up big scores, and then they just keep getting those big scores. The drivers just get more and more confident. And the more confident your driver is, the more likely they are to be able to execute at that high level. So it always is nice to kind of get a good first match out of the way, calms the nerves a little bit, gets you ready to go. And we'll see here from Blue. Blue is going to need to find another gear defensively probably and offensively. They need to kind of shift the needle a little bit on both sides of the field.
Well, this is where the Red Alliance usually puts a stranglehold on everything. 4 makes, Blue Alliance not quite as accurate.
3 misses from Blue so far, no misses from Red. A perfect auto from Red. They hit every shot.
And teleop period now begins for about 2 minutes.
And this is what I'm talking about. 27 already shot 2 balls and is now loaded to shoot 2 more.
4384 robot for the Red Alliance. That's the Benzene bots from International Academy. DOA, not moving. So that may be an opportunity for the Blue Alliance.
This is interesting. They did not shoot their ball in auto mode, so I take back what I said about a perfect auto mode. But that robot is connected, but not driving. So I'm not sure what's wrong with that robot, but the way the drivers look, I'm not sure if that's coming back. So again, this time we can see that it is still connected to the field. Meanwhile, 322 for Blue just lost connection. So now we went from a 3-on-2 for Blue, which was looking good, to a 2-on-2. And that 322 robot, that is a reboot, I think. They should be back in this match in about 20 seconds, 15 or 20 seconds.
That's a Southwestern Classical Academy from Flint.
Yeah, but no defense right now on 27 or 67, and they're just having a field day.
Blue Alliance trying to make a big splash and make a push. And maybe they can win it with a strong effort in the hangar zone.
Yep, 322 is back up, so we'll see some of that defense coming back. They're chasing 27 down right now. And they're out again. They're out again. So that is a loose cable. That's a loose power cable, either to the Robo Rio, the computer, or the radio that's doing the connection. And basically they had a big impact with 27, and on that big impact, they disconnected again. So they'll be back just in time for endgame. They might be able to get the hang points, but no more defense is going to be played.
I don't mean to overstate the obvious, but the Red Alliance is almost got 100 points, and they've played almost this entire match with just one robot missing.
So we're seeing the difference here. There was no defensive robot. 4384 would normally be playing defense. So Blue, 74 points in as well during teleop, which is very, very strong. And we'll see. 322 is up. We'll see if they can get their hang done. Meanwhile, Red is going to secure their 2 traversals. Blue secures their 2 traversals. 322, I think, missed a hook again. So they're not quite in the air. I think that back corner is touching the carpet. So we're going to have 30 points apiece here, I think, during the end game.
Yeah, that could be meaningful. And there is the robot. And this is where things, well, they started great for the Red Alliance. They always do. And here's Autonomous, but you can see the minute they open the floodgates.
And my eyes were up at the top, right? So we saw every ball go in and stay in. Meanwhile, though, 43-84, this is where the problem happened. They never actually shot their ball. So they hit every shot they took, but there was one more shot that they should have taken, which is scary based on the score, right? That they had even more offense to contribute.
And here's the hang. I mean, to say that my jaw is on the floor is a bit of a stretch, but they put up 134 points, 96 cargo points with 2 robots. Down to Kaylee. Oh, score first, then Kaylee. What about that number?
I mean, so again, right? They didn't lose too much offensive power having 43-84 out for that match. 43-84 is really there to add a little bit in Auton and then get on defense. We saw a really good score again from the Blue Alliance. 104 would have won you events a week or 2 ago. But not against this #1 seed.
We'll cap that in a moment, but first, let's check in with Kaylee.
Hey guys, I'm here with the Red Alliance member, John from 27. You guys were so high scoring with 2 bots. Tell me about that.
Well, it takes a lot of effort. There's a lot of communication that goes on behind the scenes between not only the 2 drivers on each team, but also between the teams to make up a good strategy between us. It takes time and effort to put that in, and it just all works out in the end.
And talking about that teamwork a little bit, I saw earlier your coach or your mentor came up to you and put her hand on her back, and you guys were almost doing like breathing together. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so that's just one of our what we call pregame rituals, where we just do some breathing exercises to get us into the zone for the game and get us all focused and ready for the match.
Do you think that makes a difference for you? I mean, I felt even more relaxed just watching you do it.
It definitely does make a huge difference. If we don't do it, something is going to go wrong during the match. So we make sure to do it almost all the time.
All right, sounds good. And congrats on the win. We're going to send it back upstairs.
All right, thank you, Kaylee. Yeah, good stuff. Question for you, Mr. Dan. I mean, the strategy, what does it say about a team that they can put up 134 points with pretty much, 80% of it with 2 robots?
Yeah, again, I mean, they lost the defensive power more than the offensive power in that match, but it is just continuing to show how strong our #1 seeded alliance is here.
Now let's check in with one of our corporate sponsors, a feature Sustainable by Design.
Moving forward, from one point to the next, the simplest of actions. But in that simplest of actions, Aptiv sees something else, a transformational force, a force that brings us together. We are driven by a shared mission, a world that is safer, greener, and more connected, a conviction in a brighter future for mobility, and a passion for solving the toughest challenges standing in the way. With the right people, organized in the right way, rigorous in our execution, and resilient in the face of adversity. With a unique portfolio of solutions, perfectly positioned and continuously enhanced through investment and partnership, delivered efficiently and responsibly, and always with an effort to reduce our impact on the environment and improve the many communities we call home. This is our vision for a more sustainable business. We'll get there with our knowledge, adaptiveness, and drive. We'll get there by design.
We have played a total of 11 matches here so far in the quarterfinals and semifinals. Dan, I know you like the audience to know that I use colored pens. I have a red Sharpie and a blue Sharpie. I have not used my blue Sharpie because no Blue Alliance has had a win today.
Yep, and we'll see in this match, Blue is going to look to come back and even it up here. Average cargo scores so far. The Red Alliance has been averaging 70 cargo scores. Blue, only 36. And the endgame hanging has been relatively even. So what we need to see here from Blue is 83-32 has got to keep their bumper on. They've got to perform at a little bit higher level than they have been earlier. And thus far in auto mode, it's looking good.
We've seen pretty competitive scoring in the autonomous period, but boy, that's a nice bump for the Red Alliance at the end to get up to 34 points.
Red hit all their shots. Blue missed a couple. It's still close enough, but 83-32 looks to be idle on the field, and this is not a good sign.
83-32, that's the Alpha robot from Avondale High School.
Yeah, they're moving again, but they were out for maybe 10 seconds there, 5 to 10 seconds. And I think it just happened. Yeah, they're good, they're good. They took 2 shots.
Big scoring there. 4 cargo balls into that upper hub. And that's going to give them a nice little push back.
Yeah, good job by 71-92 on defense. They were able to cut off 83-32, stop them from picking it up. 35-34.
Back-to-back cargo, upper cargo makes, or upper hub makes.
But answered right back by 23-37. And good defense as well. 65-66 is just really chasing 54-60 all over the place, forcing them to work to get free for the shot. But they do eventually get free and hit that shot.
See a lot of red cargo balls going up for the Red Alliance. Again, pretty much everything is upper hub. Lower hub is off the table for most of these teams at this point of the season.
Stretching the lead. And we'll see now. You know, 83-32 is capable of shooting quite quickly, but we lost them for a bit during this match. They disappeared, stopped scoring. They're back on it now.
The Red Alliance has bumped that lead up to 20-ish points, and they don't seem to be backing down too much from that. And you see 4 cargo hub makes, upper cargo hub makes.
And it's stretching out again. We're at the point where it's going to take a total disaster in Red's endgame for our Blue Alliance to come back here.
Yeah, they're going to move in right away. 5460 is the Center for Innovation robot, DART. And they are going to handle the hangers, scoring, and probably come out with a semifinal win that will launch them into the finals.
Yeah, looks like, you know, everybody executed an endgame there. So it should be 36 points to 36 points. It's been 36 points to 36 points most matches with these alliances. But the big lead in cargo going into endgame, right, I think is just too much to overcome.
Let's revisit what happened early on.
That hit by 5460 on 83-32. That came after they kind of rebooted or got reconnected, whatever was going on with that robot. Unable to actually cause the miss. So 83-32, very stable when they're shooting. But this defense on the far side here, really slowing them down, right? And they're taking a long time to reload and get back to shoot. And we saw several shots going off by the 23-37 robot during that time. And Red going early to the climb at the end here because they know they've got plenty of time, they've got plenty of lead. As long as they execute their end game, they're going to secure their spot in the finals.
So it looks like our championship match is all set as the second, the number 2 seeded Alliance, a 131-104 win. No shame when you're putting up 100 points, but boy, the top 2 have definitely shown a little bit of separation between themselves and the rest of the field here this weekend. Let's go downstairs and rejoin Kaylee.
Hey guys, Lily from 5460 on the Red Alliance here. Lily, I saw you before the match. Over here, you guys were working all together trying to fix your bot. Tell me what was going on.
So during the match, our climber didn't piston all the way forward to grab onto the bar, and we did not know what was happening. So after the match, during the match, actually, we struggled trying to figure out what the problem was. So after the match, we made sure, okay, one of the pistons unscrewed. So we had to just make sure that we screwed it back into the mount that we had.
Problem was fixed.
The problem is fixed, and we just climbed successfully.
Okay, that's all good news. How important was that for you, that win?
That was very important for us because getting 2 traversal climbs and getting the mid climb is a lot of points that we really need if we're going to go against who we think that we're going to go against in the finals.
What's going to be your mentality going in against who you think you're going to go against?
We're definitely going to try our hardest because we're not going to back down. We think that we're going to do good, so we're going to do good.
Love that. Hey, law of attraction, right? All right, thanks, Lily, and good luck. Back upstairs.
All right, Kaylee, thank you. As we are moving efficiently through the field of 8 quarterfinalists, 4 semifinalists, and now 2 finalists. So that field is set. Let's reconnect with Kaylee with a special interview she did earlier today with a lieutenant colonel speaking about the Air Force's involvement in Michigan First Robotics.
Hey everyone, I'm here joined with QV. He's part of the U.S. Space Force. QV, tell me how long you've been with the Force.
So I've been in the Air Force and Space Force a total of 17 years.
Oh wow, oh my goodness.
Yes,
so
sir.
how long were you with the Air Force compared to the Space Force?
Oh, so I was in the Air Force for 16 years, and I had the opportunity to transfer into the Space Force because they were taking a lot of us in a year ago, so I got 1 year of the Space Force, and all 17 years has been wonderful so far. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, tell me about that opportunity to move to the Space Force.
So the opportunity to move to the Space Force, there was a call for, if you were interested, you could apply and send your statement of intent in, and then you were competitively selected from a pool of volunteers to go into the Space Force, because General Raymond, our Chief of Space Operations, our 4-star general, he wanted people that were motivated, that wanted to be there, and then it was a great opportunity to come over.
Tell me about how you felt when you found out that you were being transferred to the Space Force.
Oh, so I'm a Star Trek, I'm a Battlestar Galactica, I'm a nerd at heart, right? I love science fiction, so when I heard, I was like, oh, I got selected for Space Force, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in all the way. Let's get to the moon, let's get to the Mars. I want to do all that. Yes, ma'am.
That's exciting. So tell me, obviously you're here, how is important are events like this and robotics for getting into careers like the Space Force?
Oh, so First Robotics, this is, one word is wow, this is what we need to do after more and more, because we need more people, more young men and women to be interested in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, STEM, and that's the foundation. So these things like this competition opens amounts of doors to not only to the Space Force and the Air Force, but also other opportunities for the industry where we rely on those technical expertise.
Okay. What advice would you give these students that are maybe interested in joining the Space Force?
So my advice for the students that want to join the Space Force is study and love learning, because it never stops, right? And if you feel like you want Space Force, we're looking for people like space intelligence. Hey, if you like reading, the Space Force for you. If you like programming, cyber, right? Programming is awesome. Join hackathons. If you don't know what hackathon is, Google it. You Google everything nowadays, right? And also, if you don't want that, it's like, hey, we need people that actually not only to with Space Force, like to maintain the satellites and the systems that help operate. So we need people that are technically proficient.
Gotcha. Okay. How does the Space Force compare to other branches?
Oh, the Space Force is small, very small. Right now there's 8,400 active duty members in the Space Force Guardians. We call ourselves Guardians, right? So you got the Army soldiers, you got the Marines, you got Navy sailors, you got the Air Force Airmen, and you have Space Force Guardians. So we are 8,400 strong. We're pretty small, right? We're not, we're new. We started 2 years ago. It's beyond Netflix, right? So the Space Force is a real thing.
Okay, and obviously you guys are going to be growing.
Yes, ma'am, we are growing, and we're going to grow smartly and deliberately. So we're going year by year where for example, accessions to join the Space Force is 500 people per year. There's a very, very small amount where the whole process is boarded, there's the interview process and so forth to join the Space Force.
Gotcha. What do you think are some of the strongest characteristics that someone needs to have to be in the Space Force?
Initiative.
Okay.
To join the Space Force, you have to have initiative and problem solving. We want people that could see something, identify the problem, figure out the solutions, and to get after it. And we're also in the Space Force is looking for people to help identify the problems that we didn't even know about. Because as we further explore space, we look up. Right now, space is limited to satellites and stuff like what's in the future, right? You look at today with the companies like SpaceX, Blue Origins. Like SpaceX is all about let's get to Mars. Blue Origins is about how do we stay on Mars. Those are the questions that we want inquisitive minds to stump and come to the Space Force and also the Air Force.
Like you said, it just started 2 years ago. It's still building. Tell me about the recruiting process.
Oh, so the recruiting process starts with one simple website, www.airforce.com. You go to that one, and then you just put your information in. Someone will contact you about the opportunities the Air Force and Space Force could offer. And if you don't want to do that, just look up the number and pick up the phone call. The process starts with a phone call.
Gotcha. Okay. And so you go to the Air Force website, and it will
guide you. Like, it will just ask you, like, hey, basic qualification questions, right? So it will just say, hey, what's your email, contact number, where you're from, and things like that. And then someone will reach out to you. And then for the qualifiers to join the Air Force and Space Force is the recruiter will walk through the whole process of going through, hey, are you physically qualified, mentally qualified, academically qualified? And then depending on your ASVAB score, right, you're going to take a test. Like, there's tests everywhere. Like, it never stops.
Yeah.
And once you take the test and see how well you score, and then that'll open how many opportunities for you. And there's over 130 different careers in the Air Force, and there's 3 in particular for the Space Force.
Gotcha. All right, very exciting. Something I'm really interested in. I don't know if I could do it, but I'm sure a lot of these students would be something that they'd be interested in.
It is, and we take anyone from 18 to 36.
All right.
And one last thing is not too late. We had an electrician that has spent, who was 18 years in as an electrician, right? And he came to us and saying, hey, I want to join the Air Force. I'm like, all right, how old are you now? Oh, I'm actually it was 18 to 39. I made a mistake. So 39. He was 39 in December. He came to us of last year. He turned 40 on January 19th. He shipped out on January 18th. He was the oldest applicant to join basic military training because after he always wanted to join the military. He had multiple houses. He had his life set, but he's like, I want to do something different for a few years. He came to us and we said, yeah, we got doors open, bro.
Just made it.
He just made it by 24 hours. It's never too late.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for your time, QV, and we're gonna send it back to you guys.
All right, great information. Boy, lots to process there. He's got some big plans. Let's quickly go back and rejoin Kaylee downstairs. Kaylee with a special guest.
Yeah, I do have a special guest. I'm joined by State Representative Abraham Ayash. And tell me, why are you here?
I did first. I started Lego League way back in 2006. I volunteered for over 10 years, and I miss it, so I'm back. So,
tell me, being in it, what characteristics do you think robotics taught you that you brought into your adult life?
Yeah, certainly working in the legislature, working under pressure is super important. Being able to quickly react and figure out how to find consensus is an incredibly important asset. That's something that I've learned in first. When you have a short time to build robots, when you're in a competition and something goes wrong, you got to be able to be quick on your feet and make a decision. And also, I think it's a fitting shift given that there's always a change in red and blue. On one hand, you're going to be on the Red Alliance. On the other hand, you're going to be on the Blue Alliance. And oftentimes, we are focused on one thing, right? Trying to make the world and the state a better place. And as we think about Michigan and being the future of mobility with the electrification of our cars and so on and so forth, first is going to be that segue to build those leaders to make sure that we make that happen here in Michigan.
What advice would you give these students right now?
Keep an open mind. I did robotics. I studied pre-medicine and I dabbled in engineering for a little bit. And now I'm here serving in the Michigan legislature, writing laws, hopefully passing more funding for programs like these. So keep an open mind and recognize that the skill sets beyond what you learn from the toolbox literally is going to be shifted in so many ways. This concept of teamwork, building out plans and strategies, working with people that you may not like or agree with, those are all assets that you need in whatever field you may get into.
Very true. You just talked about funding a little bit and, maybe expanding robotics. How important is getting them resources to be able to do this?
Incredibly important, right? For some kids, especially as we talk about not just higher education, those who want to go into the skilled trades, it is so important that we're investing dollars to give kids exposure to things like welding, to things like programming, to understand, can they find a career path that will, one, keep Michigan at the top of the helm when we talk about things like transportation and automation, and ensuring that our students have opportunities beyond just a 4-year degree. There's so many technical programs that they can sign up at, but the only way to do that is to give them exposure while they are in high school, and there is no program like First in Michigan that provides students that opportunity. So making sure that the Department of Education provides grants for schools, for communities like mine. I represent Detroit and Hamtramck. Without these state grants, our teams would not be able to function because of the lack of industry in some of these places that can pump money into these programs.
All right, well, thank you, Representative. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Dan and Dan, we're going to set it up to you.
All right, Kaylee, thank you. Let's, here we go. Number 1 and number 2. They have earned their spot into the finals, and not a surprise based on what we've seen these two alliances do so far.
Yeah, a few close matches, a few nail biters, but, it's 2-0 for our higher seeded alliance all the way here to the finals. Now, this finals matchup is interesting because 2337 has been here a lot. They've come here, I think, almost every year since at least 2011, but they've been the finalist in 14 to 18. So 2014 through 2018, 2337 was not able to win this event. They were second place every time. And in fact, in 2018, they played with 5460 on their alliance, same as here, against 67 and lost that matchup. So maybe out for a little bit of delayed revenge here. Also, we can look at some of the numbers from this event. Cargo, average cargo score. Number 1 seed is averaging 88 points in cargo. Number 2 seed, 74. So we got a 14-point discrepancy there. That's not something that you can't overcome with good defense and good strategic play. Hanging is almost dead even. 33 average for the Red Alliance, 32 average for the Blue Alliance, and they both max out at 36 hanging points. So neither side is really looking to get a big advantage in the end game. It's all going to come down to the cargo score before they go for those hangs.
So philosophically, we understand what these two teams are trying to do, and now it's just a matter of execution. Do you see this Red Alliance that we've seen, the number 1 seed? Do they have any kind of weaknesses that you can see?
Not a lot. The defense was decent on 27 in the last match. Slowed them down a little bit. But slowed them down, they still put up a huge score, right? 134 points, I think, in that last one. So we're going to look at 71-92. They're going to have to play some effective defense. We know 71-92 likes to get 2 red balls and deny that from the other alliance. So we're going to keep an eye on that. That's going to thin the field out a little bit, make defense a little bit better. But really, it's just you need to do a little bit on both sides of the field here. So 71-92 has to defend a little bit better than we saw in the semifinals, and 23-37 and 54-60 have to just shrink the time that it takes for them to reload and shoot just a little bit, just a fraction of a second each time they do it, and they're competitive.
Kaylee Marentet's been talking, throughout the day with that number 1 seeded Red Alliance, and the thing that I've noticed in the takeaway from those interviews is how all of the people she's talked to have been so calm and kind of unemotional about it, and kind of almost like everything that happens is just matter of fact. And like last week, we love the body slam guy who was pounding everybody in the in their respective alliance stations. But when you're calm, cool, and collected, that adds value.
And that speaks to the experience that those teams have. 27 and 67 are 2 of the oldest teams in Michigan. They've been doing this for well over 20 years. And they sort of have that, they've been here before, so they know how to prepare themselves and how to execute.
So the stage is set now. Again, it's a best 2 of 3, but we have not had a third match in either the quarterfinals or the semifinals. So our pacing has gone very well today.
Yep. Hopefully this one is exciting, though. Even if it takes 2 matches, I hope they're very close.
So they're introducing the teams.
Yep.
Getting everybody revved up for one last go-around here.
It looks like everybody is connected and ready to go. The other big difference maker in this match is going to be autonomous mode, because both of these Alliance have been sinking almost all of their shots. A couple unlucky misses or a couple unlucky bounce outs can shrink that gap as well.
So here we go, autonomous period, one red cargo.
Yep, first bounce out.
Yeah, a couple of them. Not a great start for the Red Alliance.
3 misses for red, 1 miss for blue. So blue should be up by maybe 8 points here.
Uncharacteristic.
There's 2 misses for blue and 23-37 unable to shoot at the end. That's going to get it a little bit closer. Yep, we're tied.
Okay. Well, that is not going to script for the #1 seeded Red Alliance, and everybody's going to get going on firing up those cargo balls into that upper hub. 2 points a pop for either Alliance when they hit that upper hub.
Blue's got to be concerned that they did not take advantage there, but 67 kind of sat against the wall. Don't know if it was a robot issue or if they thought they had a second ball in the robot, but they just were not moving for a bit.
But at least for the Blue Alliance, they know, hey, the window's open. That we can, as long as we hang with them, we can possibly swing it in the hanger zone towards the end.
Yeah, but we see that red advantage. They're just slowly squeezing out a few seconds every single cycle, and they've got themselves a 14-point lead now.
Not a huge lead, but still a tangible lead.
43-84 is playing excellent defense on 23-37. They're kind of defending a lot of the balls, stopping them from getting to position, but they did draw a penalty. A little overzealous there. But 23-37 only going 1 of 2, and now they've got to fight to get reloaded and back in position.
And a couple of missed cargo shots by the Blue Alliance, couple of cargo upper hub makes for the Red Alliance.
Yeah, balls are starting to gather on the blue side of the field. And a good, solid T-bone pin, 71-92, keeping 27 out of this match for a few seconds. 67, though, is in a field of red balls. If they can see them, that's a lot of very, very quick points that they're going to be able to score. It doesn't look like they can see them, though.
Only a 10-point difference. Red Alliance leading by 10. See who squeezes out any extra cargo shots.
Another make and miss.
Versus who's going to try and go hang. Looks for now like they want those cargo hub points.
Everybody talked about, not rushing to hang or not needing to rush their hang and go early. They can't do that in this match. It's too close. Blue has to keep shooting.
Red Alliance has 1 successful hang. That's the Clarkston High School Gold Rush robot. Blue Alliance looks like they might get all 3.
67's robot, the way the lights were flickering on it, they had no power. Oh, but 54-60 broke. Their hanger broke and they fell.
Oh.
So, okay, let's break this down. 67 had battery issues, could not get to the hanger, opening the door for Blue. 27 did get their traversal hang, and 43-84 did get their high bar hang. But on the other side of the field, 54-60 has to push this time. They're going high. They're going for the whole thing because they need to make up points. And right here, it looked good, but they bounced. They bounced, and one hook fell off. The second hook not strong enough to hold them, and they are down with no points. Meanwhile, 23-37 went too late, did not get their traversal hang either. So the door was open for Blue in the end game, but they weren't able to take advantage of it. Good shooting there. Here's the defense. That's called a T-bone pin when you get on the side like that. And you can just see how hard that is for 27 to break free. And that, even though 27's free now, they're going to score some more. If you do that every time before they shoot, that's slowing them down. That's going to bring the match back into, range for you to outscore them.
Yeah, that 54-60 Center for Innovation robot called DART. Can I ask you a practical question? How hard is that to fix?
So I talked to them earlier this event. They've already swapped out that climber. They've rebuilt it. They're very, very, very familiar with how those pieces go together. They've got both mentors and students who are practice doing it. So I expect they will be able to get that back on the robot and have it ready to go in time. But it's going to be very stressful. And sometimes what happens is when you're worried about fixing the robot, you're not worried about making strategy adjustments or getting settled and ready for the match to start.
Look at the top part of your screen there. Now, how does that one, what would be the right arm, how does that just come off like that?
So they had both hooks on. When they swung forward, we're going to watch here, as they swing forward, there's a little bit of a bounce right there, and that bounce was just enough for the hook to come up and off. And as soon as that hook came up and off, it was over. They were going all the way to the mat. Now the good news is they landed mostly on their bumper. I don't think there's any damage besides that hanger. And we'll see, actually. You know, they maybe are choosing not to put it back on. We saw it sitting on the cart over there. They're trying to bang the area where it's going to mount and see if they can get that reattached. That section they're looking at should be more rectangular, and it's definitely bent. There are pieces there that are bent. So this is a harder, it looked like the section we can see now, that broke off cleanly. So that should be really easy to put back on. But it looks like the area that was attached on the robot sustained more significant damage. So now, you know, I don't know, they've still got 8 minutes on the clock, but it's going to be a rush for them to get this fixed all the way.
And just to ask an obvious question, they have enough equipment and, you know, they have the mechanical pieces they need for all these things, right? There's always backups for everything.
Not always.
Not always,
but,
okay.
Teams like 5460 will tend to show up with what they need. You know, 67, 27 on the other side. Those are veteran teams. They've been around a long time. If they need to bring a full, you know, replacement mechanism, they will do it.
And here's the final tally. So for all the pomp and circumstance, it is a Red Alliance win. And they have a slight advantage in cargo, slight advantage in the hangar. And again, boy, it would have been even closer had that Blue Alliance robot strike zone.
Yep. So if we look at this, Blue's perfect end game is 36 points. If they had scored 36 points in the end game, they would have made up 26 points over the 10 they have. Those 26 points would have given them a 112-point score. So the door was open. When 67 kind of low battery issues and couldn't get to the hanging bar, the door was open for Blue to execute in their end game, which their average in the end game is 32 points. If they had done their average, they would have won this match. But issues for the Blue Alliance as well gave it kind of back over to the #1 seed in red. And now everybody's got to reset and figure out, you know, what they've got to do next time to sort of execute in that in-game a little bit better.
Such a slim margin for error. Those are the trophies that will be passed out today. Let's go downstairs to Kaylee Marintet.
Elag, with the Blue Alliance here, tell me what's going to be your mindset going into the next match?
By the damage that we took from the last match, from falling up there with strike zone going down, I hope that they're able to get it fixed in 10 to 8 minutes that they got, and hopefully we can make it happen.
How do you keep your mind in the game, you know, make sure that you guys don't get down?
Well, we all just hype each other back up. Part of First Robotics is the music, and the music is what keeps all the teams going.
The capes help too, right?
Oh, yeah, the capes help too. So does the hammers.
What do you want to tell your teammates right now?
I would like to tell them to stay motivated, keep on going. I know right now our driver must be stressing because if we were underneath the other robot, our robot would have gotten destroyed. If we would have hung on the other bar, that wouldn't have been good.
No. All right. Well, good luck in the next match, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, back up to you guys.
All right, Kaylee, thank you. Yeah, teams working very, very quickly as we do have a little bit of space here between now and what could be our final match of the day. Earlier, Kaylee Marintet talking with a Dearborn coach who talks about how to get involved in Michigan First Robotics.
Hey guys, Abbas from Michigan FC here with us today. Abbas, I understand that you help students that are coming in to America get more involved in sports and robotics. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, as a refugee who came to the U.S. in 1993, I was welcomed into the country through sports, mainly soccer in Erie, Pennsylvania, 1993, March 8th. I seen how people and the community was welcoming of us newcomers, refugees into the U.S. Fast forward to 2014, newcomers from Syria, Iraq, Yemen, and other parts of the world, as these kids came to the U.S., found a new home in Metro Detroit. We, Michigan FC's mentors and coaches, a lot of them are engineers. We decided to start Michigan FC to support the local newcomers, refugees from different parts of the world, and introduce soccer to them in a way as a welcoming way to welcome them into the U.S. and the community. We started off the program into K through 5th grade, and then we went K to 8th grade, and then K to 12th grade. And as a lot of the mentors are engineers, we said they're not all going to end up being Ronaldos. Only the top 0.1 or 0.5% of high school student athletes make it to Division I, Division II, and then even from there making it to the NBA or the NFL or MLS is a very small margin. And we thought about what way to give back to the community and introduce robotics to these kids in the Metro Detroit area. And a lot of them already have robotics, and the mindset there is just a matter of introducing it to them. We put the robot in the goalie box, and he said, hey, one team controlling the robot, another team is shooting, and whoever can strike the ball and make the shot, you guys get a free ball. And most of them are like, no, I don't want the free ball. I want to know how is this robot working. And
Pique their interest.
Yes, and a lot of them, they have it in them. It's just the light turns on when they see it. As an engineering manager, I thought about what way to working for TE Connectivity and in the automotive world, what way can I give back to my community, to the students in sports, robotics, and I thought about this program to introduce robotics to them. It turns on the light when they see it visually versus you're being told robotics. It's like, it's a big thing. Oh, I'm going to stay away from it. But as they see the robot in action and they see their co-teammates controlling the robot, oh, okay, if so-and-so can control it and work on it, I can do it too. And they started getting into robotics. Some of them in our program have gone on to study engineering, and they have gained internships and co-ops through the program, which is a big benefit at Ford Motor Company, Samsung, Harman, and other companies such as GM. So it's a big benefit to the community to see somebody first making it. And oh, so-and-so has made it. Now I can make it.
Yep.
You need somebody to break the ice, break that barrier. And we feel like in soccer it has been ingrained in our community, but robotics slowly but surely has become a thing of, I want to go out in the weekend to the Access Annex to try out robotics.
Yeah. I love that. I love that you integrated both soccer and robotics, giving kids options to do that, and I think that's amazing. So thank you so much for everything that you do, and thank you for spending your time with us. We're going to send it back to you guys.
And they are working hard in the pits to repair all that needs to be repaired. This is the Blue Alliance and the 5460 Strike Zone Center for Innovation team that's kind of pulling out all the stops here.
Yeah, the hacksaw is never a good sign. But we'll see. I mean, they're organized. They got people working on it.
Yeah, that is they're kind of a ground zero repair. Let's go downstairs and reconnect with Kaylee Marintet.
Hey guys, I'm here with Ishan from Troy High School. All right, this caught my eye as soon as I walked in the door. First, I gotta know what kind of shark you are.
Hammerhead shark.
You're a hammerhead shark?
Yep.
Why did you decide to dress up?
Because we just wanted to keep the team spirit alive and have fun.
What's your team name?
226 Hammerheads.
Okay, gotcha. All right. What kind of reactions have you gotten today?
We've gotten a lot of selfies and just smiles overall. High fives, yeah.
Lots of high fives. And I'll tell you what, he had a mask on earlier and you could not see his face. It did not look like there was a human in there. Where do you get a costume like that at?
I think we made this on our own.
You made this costume?
Yeah.
How did you make it?
I'm not sure. We've had this for a while. The team is 23 years old.
That's very impressive. All right, what do you want to tell your team right now?
Good job today. You guys did really good.
Okay, we love the support. We love the team. And thank you so much for dressing up and bringing so much positive energy in here. All right, Dan and Dan, back to you guys.
That's hilarious. A handmade hammerhead shark costume.
I don't know how easy it would be to find one not
I
handmade,
know.
so I guess they had to.
Is it easier to work on the robot or create the costume?
For me personally, the robot, but I'm sure there are some very, very talented tailors and seamstresses who could make the costume much better.
Well, hopefully there's some very talented mechanics. There are very talented mechanics who are fine-tuning. There's another shark. Although the second shark on the left not as imposing as the one on the right, but
5460 is moving to the field now. I don't know if they finished the repair or not. They were still holding some parts, and somebody's running up with some tape, which may also not be a good sign. But it does look like both hooks are on the robot. We just don't know if they're fully connected and if they're going to work or not. We've got that one that he's got to reset there, which he does. Oh, no. Yep, you see the tape. They're putting tape on to hold that arm in place. I think that is because they did not finish fixing it. So we can just kind of see that second hook arm there. They're zip tying and they're taping that arm up. Yeah. And that means that the traversal hang will not be available for our number 2 seeded Alliance, which is bad news. That means if they can go with one hook to get the mid bar for 6 points still, which is still a big if, they may not be able to do that. They're going to be dropping from 15 points down to 6. That's a 9-point swing, and they've been behind a little bit in cargo every time, so that's going to be something to watch out for. We might see 5460 also stay out on the field and shoot if they don't have their hanger working at all. And if they can get 4 shots off, that's 8 points at least. So that can cover up the lost points a little bit.
So they're still working on getting that robot ready to engage effectively. That duct tape doesn't exactly inspire great confidence, but hey, you work with what you have, right?
And the issue here is you get a certain amount of time. They took a timeout. They had 8 minutes plus a little bit of change to get the robot ready and on the field, and they just decided that it was not close enough for them to be able to finish that repair. So they're out here with the shooter should still work, but that traversal hang is not going to be there for them.
We'll pause here at Troy Athens as we continue with our Troy district event. We're in the finals, and we'll come back with more in just a moment.
What does it take to create a more sustainable future of mobility? What does it take to build a future with 0 traffic fatalities and 0 emissions? Aptiv is uniquely positioned to answer those questions, situated at the intersection of the safe, green, and connected megatrends transforming the automotive industry. Sustainability is in our DNA. We are taking on some of society's toughest challenges with innovations that combat climate change, save lives, and improve the way the world moves. With both the brain and the nervous system of the vehicle, Aptiv Solutions optimize electric vehicle architecture, making intelligent design trade-offs that reduce cost, weight, and mass, allowing for faster democratization of technologies that reduce CO2 emissions and reduce traffic accidents and fatalities. Aptiv not only leads the industry in high-voltage component innovations, from chargers and inlets to power converters and battery disconnect units, but also in process automation, miniaturization, and manufacturing excellence. Through Aptiv's smart vehicle architecture, we see the vehicle as a complete system, enabling an efficient and accelerated path to the electrified, software-defined vehicle. Sustainability is also in the way we operate. Aptiv is committed to having its operations in 44 countries, powered by 100% renewable energy by 2030, and becoming fully carbon neutral by 2040. With our full system solutions, innovative spirit, and unmatched global capabilities, Aptiv is the customer's partner of choice to bring the future of mobility to life.
Hey guys, yeah, we're here with 5460. There's 3 members here working on a bot. Not exactly sure what's going on yet, but they're trying to get everything figured out, talking to each other. Lots of hands in this bot. And actually earlier I talked to their teammate Lily a couple matches ago. They were working on this bot earlier, trying to get some problems fixed, which they said they did get fixed. So now I don't know if this is the same problem that they're having or a reoccurring problem, but they're just trying to get it figured out as fast as they can. Not really sure yet what's going on. Lots of pushing and pulling and trying to get some wires figured out. But we're gonna stick around and see what goes on and wait to see. But for now, I'm gonna send it back up to you guys.
All right, Kaylee, thanks. Yeah, they're going to make do with the duct tape. Looks like at this point there really isn't any heavy lifting or repositioning they can do.
So they were reaching into the robot there. That is the final roller that actually feeds the ball up. There's like a conveyor system there that feeds the ball up into the shooter. And they were just really struggling to get that top roller reseated. And what might have happened was, it fell off. The piece was laying on the field for the hanger. And sometimes when you see that, right, you go right into let's fix the thing we know is broken mode. Somebody else has to check through the rest of the robot to make sure it didn't sustain other damage. And that one might have snuck past them. It does look like they have it back where it needs to be. So hopefully that works, because if 5460 can't hang and can't shoot, I mean, we're going to need to see something pretty extreme to have the number 2 alliance have a chance.
Yeah, sometimes you get focused on one broken component of your robot that you overlook the other ones that may be just as meaningful.
Yeah. And it's, it makes sense though, right? Because your key people are just rushing in to fix the thing that they see broken, but can't miss the little stuff either. So we'll see, we do have some data. So far in Michigan, all the events we've played in Michigan, the number 1 seed has only lost 3 times. And actually 67 was one of those robots that won.
And here we go, could be our final match of the day.
That lost as the number 1 seed.
We're watching and seeing who is going to strike first big in the autonomous Red Alliance. Off to a good start.
We saw
Blue
a good
Alliance
pass.
pushing back well, though.
Good pass to 5460, but they missed the shot. Crucially, 5460 was able to shoot, so their robot is functional, except we believe for the traversal climb.
There's one ball actually stuck, a blue cargo ball that is just hanging there.
That is a little bit unlucky. It should work itself free.
Well, I don't know. It's been sitting there a long time. Let's see if some balls can roll down and knock it loose. There it goes.
Yep.
So still very close.
We'll see. A bit of a slow start for Red, but
man,
there's
they can that Red Alliance, they can unload so many cargo balls quickly.
Yeah, Blue answering back, though. Right now, they are kind of on cycle. They're going shot for shot. But here's where they slowly start to fall behind. 27 took a set and another set.
It's almost like a sprinter in a race. You keep pace for a period of time, but the Red Alliance just seems to have enough gas and efficiency to keep creating a little bit more distance. And when you look up, you're down a bunch. Not a bunch, but, this is 10-plus points.
We did see a penalty there against the Red Alliance. Looks like there was some defense there that wasn't called. 23-37 holding 3 balls right now. Took a while to spit that one out. I don't know if they got called for that. So Blue Alliance might have gotten away with one there.
And we're not seeing any robot issues with the Center for Innovation strike zone, are we?
Nope. So far, their shooting has been on point. Good defense. We saw 23-37 getting just hit right as they were going to shoot, missing both shots. And they can't afford that. I mean, like you said, it's been close the whole time. We've been seeing blue and red balls flying in, but you look at the scoreboard and it's 100-64. Red is just getting that extra shot every cycle, or extra 2 shots every cycle here.
And they've been excellent in the hanger zone as well. So they'll get more points and make it virtually impossible for the Blue Alliance to make a meaningful
54-60 out on the field trying to keep shooting, but they're actually stuck. They're not able to feed the ball through, so maybe a last-second robot gremlin. Meanwhile, Red executes their 36-point endgame. Blue does what they can do, but again, 54-60 with that broken hanger, it's just not going to be enough.
Well, the hugs are already happening. I don't think that there's a Hail Mary barrage of points that's coming for this Blue Alliance. And hey, let's be honest, they've performed very well at a high level, but it seems the Red Alliance has always had an extra gear to go to.
Yep.
You can see those officials talking, though, Dan. What are they discussing right now?
So from what I saw a few instances of robots holding more than 3 balls, or more than 2 balls, holding 3 balls or more. I think there's a shot of 23-37 when they might have had the third one there. The other thing is some of the defense. We saw defense inside the frame perimeter. 54-60, I think, might get called for one of those. 43-84, I think, got away with one. Similarly, they were up on top of one of the Blue Alliance robots for a bit. But look, the score is far enough apart that I don't think anything that they're going to be able to call here is going to make any difference in the outcome of this match. I mean, you can give, if all of the penalties go Blue's way, our number 2 seed's way, and, you know, even if there were 3 of them, you know, that's not going to turn it. So the only thing that can flip it here is if something is going to be red carded or yellow carded. Our number 1 seed Alliance actually was carrying a yellow card going into this event, or into this match. So a second yellow card would be enough for them to lose, to get disqualified essentially and lose the match. And that, I think, is what is going to happen. We're seeing that 43-84 contact that I said maybe they didn't see. Turns out they definitely saw it, and that, I think, is going to be a yellow card.
So a disqualification means we set up for a winner-take-all third match.
Yeah, and this also crucially gives 54-60 some more time to try to fix their robot if they're interested, if they think it's possible. So we're going to have some time here where the number 1 seeded Alliance is going to talk to the head ref. They're going to say, hey, what was this call for? Like, why are you giving us this call? That was a quick conversation, which means, you know, they're accepting the call and heading back to prep their robots.
So it looks like there was damaging contact that the Red Alliance inflicted on one of the Blue Alliance robots. Yep. We're going to try and look through our video of what happened, if we can see it specifically, but it looks like officially we're going to have another...
43-84 popped their bumper up. They were riding on top of 23-37 while playing defense. And if you do that, especially if you do it for a while, which they were, that will be a yellow card. And because they were already carrying a yellow card, 2 yellow cards becomes a red card. You instantly lose the match. They're going to essentially get 0 points for that match. And so, yeah, we're going into finals match number 3, 1-1.
So the unofficial scoring would have been a Red Alliance score of 102, a Blue Alliance score of 70.
Actually, more because they don't have the end game in. So
okay.
We've got 138 to, say, 81 or 91.
So even if the scoring, anyway, the Blue Alliance is going to win. Here's the infraction. Take a look.
43-84, that first hit, fine. But when they're popped up like this, you can't keep hitting. You got to back off. They kept pushing forward. And the idea is, if there is any damage there, you can get yellow carded for that. Apparently, you know, on inspection, the refs decided that it was egregious enough to warrant a yellow card, and our number 2 seed gets a second life here.
Strategically and philosophically, what does this mean for the Red Alliance?
So, you know, I got to say, the Red Alliance, that was a tactical error. The score at that point in the match, that came relatively late in the match. You can see them climbing up there from the other angle here. The score at this point in the match, Red had already nearly sealed the victory. So if you're 43-84, you got to know what the score is. You got to know when you got to play hard defense to close the gap and when you can let up a little bit and make sure there are no penalties. And in this case, they made the wrong decision, and you can see 99-0. When you're disqualified, that's it. No points.
Well, a strange turn of events. Our first Blue Alliance win. Let's get some perspective on this from Kaylee.
Hey guys, Lily from 5460 on the Blue Alliance joining me. What is going through your mind right now?
I'm unfortunately happy. It's unfortunate that they got a red card, but that means we get another shot to play, so I'm not too sad, which is not the greatest, but we get another shot, so I don't really...
What was going through your mind when you saw what happened out there, or did you see what happened out there?
I'm the one operating our climber, so we were up and then we weren't, and we were on the ground and our robot fell into pieces, and we had to fix it in 7 minutes, which we did not do. We taped it back up, and we're hoping that we had enough cargo in order to win that match, and we wouldn't have. If they didn't get that yellow card, we would have lost and we would have been going home today.
What are you going to bring into this next match right now?
Hopefully our climber is working. We think we figured it all out. We just didn't have enough time to fix it last match. So we're going to play our hardest. We're going to get as many cargo in that hub as we can, and we're going to try to climb as high as we can.
What are you going to try to remind your teammates in this next match right now?
To calm down, because we're all kind of freaking out right now.
Understandably. I think all of us are. Well, good luck in this next match. All right, thank you, Lily. Back up to you guys.
Yeah, that's really interesting because except for that maybe strategic mistake the Red Alliance makes, they've really opened the window, not just because the Blue Alliance gets another chance, to have another match, but this is extra time to repair their machine in a more effective way.
Yeah, and we'll see. There's about 5.5 minutes left on the timeout, essentially. So that's how much time they have to fix it. But, they had the entire match as well. So the pit crew for this team, when that match started, that pit crew was not watching the match. They were over prepping parts, getting tools out, making sure everything was laid out. So when the match ended and they brought the robot back over, they were going to hit the ground running with that repair.
Well, I still see the duct tape, but anyway, let's hear from one of our title sponsors today here at Troy Athens High School.
Hey everyone, Jenny from Magna joining me. Jenny, tell me, you're obviously one of the sponsors for the event. Why do you decide to sponsor events like this?
So Magna's been a longtime sponsor of First Robotics. In fact, we were one of the founding members of this great organization. And the reason why we sponsor it is because we really want to help instill the excitement and the enthusiasm for creating technologies and problem solving and letting these kids know that the fun that they're having today, building these robots, testing them, experimenting, figuring out all the dynamic pieces of it, that they can do that for the rest of their life at companies like Magna and so many of the other sponsors.
Why is robotics so important for students this age? What characteristics do you think they're going to take from this into their everyday lives and their jobs?
Yeah, so what's really cool about First Robotics is that it becomes a team. So if you think about operating in the real world or in a big company like Magna, you are always working together as a team. So you have someone who's designing the parts and pieces, you have people who are testing, you've got people who are marketing it, and I see they have their own brands and they've got all of their brand colors and the logos and all of that, and it's just really cool to see these kids coming together to form not only a solution to the problem they're trying to solve, which in this case is the challenge that they're experimenting and what they have to actually achieve, but they're working together to solve that problem. So I think teaching those really unique problem-solving skills, it's teaching them to work as a team, and it's teaching them that everybody has a different part and piece that makes these things work together.
Sure. Maybe teamwork is one of those characteristics that you guys look for. What other characteristics do you guys look for in maybe recruiting these students?
Yeah, absolutely. So, with Magna, we like to dream big, and we want people to imagine what's possible. And so for us, we're creating the future of mobility, and we're always thinking about what's next. And so these kids are doing that every day. They're thinking about, okay, we have a challenge, and at Magna, it's a challenge from one of our other OEMs, or it's from a customer of ours, and we're trying to think about how do we solve that problem for them. And that's what these kids are doing. They've got a challenge, and now they're trying to problem solve together and then work in real time, especially on the ground here, and actually create these incredible things that they're using, these robots. And so with the robots piece of it, they're understanding the mechanisms, they're learning about physics and all of the different pieces that you would want from an education standpoint, but then also how those apply. Because I think a lot of times in the STEM field, kids get discouraged because they don't know how they're challenging courses and it's hard work.
Yep.
And you don't see how that can apply to everyday life. These types of programs like First Robotics really give you that opportunity to see in real life, okay, this is what I just learned in my physics class. I'm putting it to use right now. This is so cool. And I can do these things forever if I wanted to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I totally get that. I understand. When I was in high school, I feel like in mathematics class, people are going to be like, why do I need to know this equation?
Story problems, right?
I've asked myself that. I'm not going to lie in my profession before. What advice do you want to give these students that are maybe looking to go into companies like yours?
Absolutely. So I would say continue to dream big. we believe in an entrepreneurial mindset, which I think is exactly what's being fostered here today. So you're thinking about, okay, there is a challenge, but there's not one way to solve this. And you see that every day with all of these different teams, the solutions they're creating, how they're coming together and organizing. So I think stay hungry, stay excited, always think about yourself as a problem solver first and foremost, and then I think there's so much power in that, and that's the type of individual we want. We want that person who's always seeking to ask the questions, wondering why, willing to kind of challenge expectations and think about what's next and what's even bigger to come around the corner.
Sure. All good characteristics and all good stuff I think that these kids are learning.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time,
Yes.
Jenny, and we're going to send it back to you.
All right, a lot of anxious moments in the pits down here. Dan, give us an idea how stressful and anxious these kids are right now working under these kinds of conditions.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you can look up right at the clock on the display here, on the projector display, and just watch it ticking down. But, you know, you can't rush fixing something like this. You have to do it efficiently. I mean, think of like auto racing, F1, NASCAR, whatever. When you go in and you get the tires replaced, they do it very, very quickly. But if they try to do it too quickly, that's when they run into problems here. So they need to be very precise with their movements, efficient with their movements, but don't rush the repair. Don't try to go faster than you can go. And you know, that's it. 5460 is a team with a lot of experience, and we just watched them down there kind of just being very organized, very methodical about this fix. And it looks like, you know, both arms are on the robot this time. There are some small things that we can't tell from up here, like there's usually a winch cable, that a string, essentially, a heavy-duty string going through the middle of that arm that we'll use to pull down and set the hook. You know, did that get reattached to the motor in time? I think so. Is everything going to be packaged right? We think so. Is it going to be attached at the right angle, though? So when they go up to reach for that second bar, is it going to still, all the geometry going to work out? And so there are definitely questions left. Even though it looks like they've got it attached, you know, we're going to have to wait until the end game to know for sure.
Yeah, you never know until it's battle tested. Let's go back downstairs quickly and check in with Kaylee.
Hey guys, yeah, still kind of a stressful situation going on. These people trying to make sure, or the teammates trying to make sure that, you know, everything looks good and ready to go before this.
University of Michigan's College of Engineering. We have a collection of 19 teams that build at our site, so they come from schools all around Detroit to one space, kind of get the students to learn from one another, and we can kind of collect our resources in terms of money and people and tools and machines to help all the teams kind of rise together.
Gotcha. What do you think the Michigan Engineering Zone gives these kids that other organizations or groups might not?
Yeah, well, so when I first got into FIRST, it was as a teacher at one of the Detroit schools. And when we first started, we didn't have anything more than just kind of the green light to have a team and my home personal set of tools that was like a hammer and a wrench. And so I got to go to the MES, take my team to the MES, and it provided me this resource of people who had been doing this for many years. They could help guide me, they could help guide my students, and I just think we were able to make leaps and bounds in that first year that we would have never made if we were doing it alone. And so the MES strives to do that for all of our teams, but then now we're moving beyond just supporting rookie teams, and we have teams that have been building at the MES for 11 years now, and they're just getting better and better. So again, I just think of it as a place to collect the human resources, the financial resources, and the first knowledge to help the Detroit students succeed. I mean, they have the ability to do it, but if every team was just working by itself, they wouldn't necessarily have the resources to be as successful as they are when we get everybody together.
Sure, yeah. So you said students have been building for 11 years. Is that how long the MES has been around?
Yes, exactly. So I guess back in about 2010 or 2011, there were some experienced FIRST mentors who had been helping a team in Detroit and just realizing kind of what the barriers were there in terms of space and having the right machines and tools. And they decided, like, hey, you know, if we got this team together with, you know, the other teams in the area, then we would all be doing better. And so, yeah, we've been doing it for 11 years now. We started with about 10 teams that first year, and now we've grown to 19. We have the capacity for 20, and we're hoping, we're kind of at our limit in terms of space, but we're hoping that in coming years we can kind of expand even our space resources.
So how would kids get involved, once that space opens up?
Yeah, so we have a partnership with the Detroit Public School Community District, and so we just partner with teams. So as long as they are joining their school's robotics team, then their school partners with the MES if they want to come build with us, and then we have transportation that brings the students from the schools to the MES and takes them home at night. And then we feed them. We try to just meet every one of the needs so that the students can focus on building the robot and just learning as much as they possibly can.
That's really exciting. And like you said, I think it offers a lot of things that these students can take with them, not only into the arenas here, but maybe into their real life or outside life. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, we really try to build up that community atmosphere too, and embody that idea of cooperation and gracious professionalism, because we're at 19 teams who out here today might be competing, but whenever we're building the robot and designing the robot, we really focus on supporting one another. Even as you look around the stands here today, our teams typically don't have, a group of 40 sitting in the stands. And so just by collecting us together on Fridays, we always all wear our MES shirts, and then it helps bring that presence of like, all right, my people are here, I am supported. So yeah, I think in addition to the science and technology skills that they're learning, they're tapping into a community network within Detroit, and we're all just supporting each other.
All right, sounds good. Thanks so much for your time,
yeah,
Haley.
Thank you,
Back
Kaylee.
to you guys.
All right, Kaylee, thank you. And we have more robot drama on the field. This is the 67 robot from Huron Valley, the hot team, the hot bot. And that is not a good sign when your machine is tipped over.
Yeah, I spent that break writing a list of here are the questions for this final match, and then this happened, so I had to add to it. 67 is not connected to the field, which, it's been a long time. So any normal connection issues would have worked themselves out by now. They had sort of the extra time while 5460 was getting ready and set up on the field. So that means there's an issue with either the network on the robot or with the radio. So essentially it's the RoboRio again, the computer on the robot, or the radio that's causing the issue. It looks like where they're going on the robot, that's more of a Rio issue. So these robots have essentially, it's Wi-Fi, right? So we have the same Wi-Fi that you would use at home connecting these robots. It's 5 gigahertz. It's a little bit more professional than that, but there is a network on the robot, and the robot will not connect if the radio is not connecting to the field or if the computer is not connecting to the radio. And so it looks like they're digging in to see if there's any issues with the computer as to why it might not be connecting to the radio, which then would let it connect all the way through.
So the $64,000 question is, how much time can they spend trying to fix this before they would have to forfeit?
Yeah, it's kind of up to the head ref. The head ref, the FTA has a little bit of input on it too. We're probably not going to see a forfeit here. 5460 was afforded a lot of extra time before the first match, and they got some extra time before we even got to this point on this match. So I would be surprised if either alliance was really out there saying, hey, hurry up or else. Also, teams generally want to compete against full alliances, and they don't want to win by a disqualification like that. I mean, 67 could be bypassed is what we would call it. You would start the match without them basically playing. And that would be a death sentence more or less for the Red Alliance. But the issue with the robot, depending on what it is, might be an issue that is sort of integral to the control system itself. The control system is provided by first to the teams. So you'll also see a little bit more leeway if it's one of the core control system components because it's more out of the team's control.
And that's something the team built on their own.
So in this case, they were given this.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. Yeah.
So instead of if something is wrong with your drivetrain, it's your fault you built the drivetrain. But in this case, if you're given at the beginning of the year this computer that you have to use in your robot, and there's some bug where the computer is not connecting all of the pieces together, then that would be an issue. But it does look like they rebooted and they are connected now. So I think we're going to have a 3v3 match here.
What's crazy, too, is all of this goes away if the Red Alliance had not been overly aggressive in the previous match.
And that's what we're watching here. So we're watching to make sure 5460 is still functional. We're going to watch 5460 in the end game to see if they go to climb. And we're going to watch 4384 to see if they can avoid drawing another illegal defense penalty.
So in the most unlikely of circumstances, the Blue Alliance has a second shot at possibly extending or winning this Troy District event.
Very good auto mode from Red. Blue missed a few, and Red is the first back shooting here. So once again, we see Red's dominance on cargo taking hold. I think I've seen 6, 7, 8 red balls were shot before those 2 blue ones, and one of those missed.
And this is par for the course for the Red Alliance. They are so strong in the teleop, and they continue to just pile up cargo points in the upper hub.
67 had a bunch of red balls just kind of in the right spot for them. Now the question is, 4384 is not playing defense. They've pulled back. They're looking to shoot, and now we'll see what they do. Are they going to cross back and play defense again, or continue scoring?
We can watch a lot of red cargo balls going right into that upper hub.
Yep, so it's defense. All right, so 4384 has to avoid any more cards. They just drew a penalty. That was an illegal defense penalty. That's going to potentially be 4 points. Now, they can take all the 4-point penalties they want because they're up by 30, but they cannot afford a yellow card.
Red Alliance has one of their machines looking for balls, but boy, they're going to be up to 100 points here fairly soon.
67 loaded, goes 1 for 2.
Just not many misses for the Red Alliance, and the Blue Alliance just cannot keep pace. And there's no shame in that, really.
No, this #1 alliance is very strong. If this alliance got together at the state championship in 2 weeks, you know, they would be a player there. They would be a contender. All right, now is the time. 4384 should go early, and they are. Little bit of a discussion here by our refs. I'm not sure if that's going to amount to anything. We'll have to wait and see.
Red Alliance is going to be comfortably ahead as the teams go to the hangar zone, but again, those penalties, those pesky penalties.
Yep. This is looking like the highest score of the event for Red, if they can hold on. Blue, all right, 5460 did not hang. So, you know, we're going to guess the hanger probably still not functional. They stayed out, tried to shoot at the end to close the gap. But it was always going to be a tall task to close the gap. The 15-point hang with just shots.
So 100+ points for the Red Alliance. The one that was repaired is the one on the left of your screen.
Well, that's 43.
Oh, sorry.
That was the defensive robot who drew the yellow card.
Right, okay.
This time they pulled off early enough and got out of the way. So 67. This is where a bunch of red balls were just kind of over here. It's the far side of the field. They did a good job managing them and getting into position here. Good shot. 71-92 played pretty good defense that match, but just could not keep up with 67 and 27 as they flew around the field. And here's the end game. 43-84 missing a hook, but that's okay. They're still up in the air. And this is another perfect end game for this alliance. The best they can do is 36 points. And on the blue side, what we see is no 5460. 5460 still out on the field, trying to score as many last-second shots as they can. 2337 does a great job of getting to the traversal bar, and 7192 there on the mid bar. But, you know, they fell behind in teleop on the cargo points, and, you know, they did not have the hangs to make up for it. I think the initial count of balls, it's 48 balls were scored by the Red Alliance, which is a new high for this event. I think that's a new high for the state of Michigan thus far.
And just to confirm the scoring, if you have at least, as long as at least the one hook is enough to take you off the ground, that's enough. You don't have to have 2 hooks.
Correct. It's all about where your weight is supported. So if you're hanging from the bar and that's where your weight is, and you're not touching the ground, you get full credit.
That 4384 machine is the International Academy's robot, Benzene Bots.
And it was we saw a good adjustment there with that robot. They backed off on defense a decent amount. We saw none of the kind of high hits that we saw before, yet we do have some refs gathered together here discussing stuff.
What do you guess that would be about?
You know, there was an illegal defense penalty for hitting somebody when they're in the safe zone, but that should really only be a 4-point penalty. I'm not sure what we're going to see in addition to that, and that really shouldn't merit this much discussion, so I'm not sure why they're, you know, still down there talking about stuff like this.
Well, the number 1 Red Alliance, they have been just steamrolling their way all the way into the finals. They won the first final match, and since then, you know, things have not exactly gone sideways, but they have not gone according to script, as they forfeited the second finals match, which set up this winner-take-all third match. And even though they're fairly well ahead on points, you know, the longer the officials are talking, the more anxious the Red Alliance probably is.
Yeah, you know, and I really kind of wish I was in on that discussion. I mean, this is a situation where, like, this conversation should really only be happening if they're debating a yellow card. And maybe I missed it, but I didn't see anything yellow card worthy in that match. And if they're just there debating, like, a couple of penalties here or there, look, just the score is not close enough that a couple of penalties is going to matter, right? And it feels a little bit like, you know, just make your call one way or the other and, you know, put the final score up.
Anxious moments, too, for the Blue Alliance. They probably didn't think that, you know, when they came into the finals and knew what they were up against, they knew it would be an uphill battle, but I don't think they thought it would play out quite like this.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So what we're hearing is that it could be another yellow card for the Red Alliance. How that yellow card transpires,
so if they
sure.
call this, if they give the Red Alliance another yellow card, they're basically giving the win to the number 2 seed in blue. I personally, watching that match, did not see anything that would warrant a yellow card. Look, you kind of want the robots to decide the outcome of the match. So, by the letter of the law, possibly, if a robot popped up and hit high for an instant, you could maybe call a yellow card for that. But if it's not ongoing and it's not really causing damage, and we didn't really see any damage caused, you know, all the robots worked the way that they were working at the beginning of the match, at the end of the match, it's a pretty big stretch to make that call and, you know, put yourself in the position where you're determining the winner of the match.
well, you could certainly say that they are not going to provide any shortcomings in terms of not flushing this out as much as they think it deserves.
Right.
Right.
They are debating.
Yeah. I mean,
it looks like we got one of the refs kind of lobbying for the yellow card and trying to make that case. Is what it looks like to me. But, you know, look, we saw maybe a high hit from 43-84 again, just like they got the yellow card for in the match before. But it has to be a damaging contact. And to be honest, I'm not sure there was damaging contact in the last match when that happened. Obviously, they can look closer Let's see
if we can hear what's going on in the huddle right now.
We can't give a red card on ISU.
Can you guys back up, please?
Okay, well.
Can you back up from this conversation?
We're being told to back up right now. We're trying to listen in on what's going on.
Nice try, Kaylee. We thought that was going to be a nice little get for us, but we'll respectfully refrain. And we can't read lips because the masks are
I mean, right now, the one referee right to the left is like, he wants the yellow card. And it seems like our head referee is a little bit reticent to make that call. And you know, like, to be fair, I don't think there was a call there that was impactful enough that you really want to change the outcome of this match. I did not see it. Maybe I missed it. We can go back through. We can watch again. But, you know, that hit needs to be egregious. It needs to cause damage. It needs to have an impact in the way this match went. And what I'm seeing here, or what I saw in the match was, 23-37, fine all the way to the end. 54-60, continued shooting all the way to the end. So there was no significant damage.
Request to have them look at the robot at least to see where the damage was.
Can you at least look at the robot?
We did look at the robot. We saw some damage. We didn't see what part. Okay. Sorry.
Thank you.
And so just from the way that conversation went, that was the number 2 Alliance captain over there lobbying, I guess, for the penalty. Leaving that conversation with the head ref with a polite thank you.
That body energy didn't really display enthusiasm.
And so reading from that, it does seem like there will probably be no card here. And the scores will decide the winner, which, to be honest, I would hope for. But there is the possibility, right, that I missed something big.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So they're going to put the score up on the screen here and decide who is going to win. It is a Red Alliance win. So the discussion ends up not impacting what is on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and by all means, if you have something that's going to alter the outcome of the event, have that discussion, make sure you take the time to get it right. It's just like other sports. You never want the referee to decide it, right? You don't want a penalty call in the last seconds giving the game away. And so we got 4 penalty points here. That's fine. 150-87. That 150-point victory is the high score of this event. That might be the high score in Michigan thus far this year. It's the high score I've seen. So an absolutely amazing match by the number 1 seed there. Number 2 played very well as well. And a near heroic attempt by 54-60 to get their hanger back on. Looks like they were not quite able to finish that in time. But a finalist, a second place finish is not a bad finish either.
The Red Alliance crushes in cargo, and they have a strong showing in hangers. So, I mean, the hanger points are almost meaningless. They've doubled up almost by 2-to-1 in the cargo points.
Yep. Yeah, they just really, that match, everything hit. The balls were in the right spot, and they were able to just really, really keep shooting and keep making.
Okay. A Red Alliance win, and it was a long time to get to that final conclusion. And in fact, we probably got a little bit more competition than we thought due to the Red Alliance infraction in the second final match. Let's go downstairs and join Kaylee.
Hey guys, yeah, congratulations. Obviously a lot of tension. What was going through your mind when all that was going on?
Honestly, at first, before they explained what the red card was for, it felt unfair in some way. But then after explaining, our alliance partner, they broke part of engine nerds. It's like, okay, that's fair. But otherwise, it was crazy. To the point, I don't remember what was happening.
Fair enough. So I gotta ask you, what were you telling your teammates while all this was being discussed?
We were so nervous, honestly, because of the first penalty, the yellow card. We were so nervous. We didn't know how it was going. The more discussion there was, the more tension there was. We were hoping for the best, right? In the end, we re-strategized to hope that we don't get the yellow card. Thankfully, we didn't. But we were just hoping for the best, and I guess we made it.
You did. You got it. All right. So I got to know also, I got to ask about this celebration between you and your team. You guys, I feel like all jumped up at the same time. Tell me about that.
Well, it was kind of a little planned, but we wanted to just celebrate in the best way possible. I mean, this has been an amazing year for us, one of the best since the team was founded. So three banners is a lot for us. So we're just proud and really happy of all the results. We left everything out on the field. So.
Lots of good teamwork. Congratulations again, guys. We're going to send it back up to you.
All right, Kaylee, thank you. Yeah. Well, it was a kind of a bumpy ride to the finish for this Red Alliance consisting of Huron Valley Schools, Clarkston High School, and International Academy. More in a moment.
At Consumers Energy, we believe change is imagining. Change is big. Small, clean. Him, them, us, you. Together, we can bring clean energy to Michigan and protect the environment for generations to come. Learn about your clean energy choices and how you can become a force of change. consumersenergy.com/change.
If you want to continue enjoying the excitement of robotics, come check out what's going on at Kettering University, including their combat robotics team and FIRST Center. Turn your robotics experience into a professional career. Be sure to apply to Kettering beginning in August of 2022. Go to kettering.edu/apply to learn more.
DTE believes leaders are defined by doing what's right, not what's easy. So we are tripling renewables and cutting carbon emissions in half over the next 10 years, and using cleaner natural gas. Working even harder to create a future where producing affordable, reliable energy doesn't contribute to climate change. Because to lead, we have to do what's right. DTE.
So these are the champions of the Troy District event. The Benzene Bots from International Academy, Central, Team Rush from Clarkston High School, and the hot team from the Huron Valley Schools. Well, they were smooth sailing until they got to the finals. A little bit of up and down anxiety, but still we know who the best team is today. That's this Red Alliance.
Yeah, I mean 150 points says it all. But it does underscore the importance of, if you're going to play defense, you've got to know the rule book like the back of your hand. So 43-84, a little overzealous in a couple matches, getting 2 yellow cards, but came back in that last match, made the adjustments, played it clean, and was able to, secure that final victory.
Let's get some final thoughts from downstairs with Kaylee Marentate.
Yeah, hey guys, I think the one word I would use to describe today would be drama or tension or nervous sweating, because I know there was a lot of that going on down here. A lot of teammates trying to talk to each other, keep each other up. A lot of speed bumps along the way. We saw that bot that needed to be fixed, that 5460. We saw 67 needing to be redone. Just a lot of tension down here today, but overall, lots of people happy with today. There was still a lot of positive energy through here and still a lot of camaraderie like we've seen in previous weekends. So those are my final thoughts. I'm going to send it back up to you.
Yeah, thanks, Kaylee. Yeah, we got to congratulate everyone here. We get consumed by points and wins and all that stuff, but there's so much great energy coming out of this event, and it will continue. 2 weeks from today, we will all be back together at Saginaw Valley State. It's the state finals. The best of the best will be there, and we will be there to cover all of it as well. Thanks to our great production crew on site here, and that'll wrap it up from Troy Athens High School. For Kaylee Marentet and Dan Kimura, I'm Dan Gutowski saying so long from Athens High School, where the champions of the Troy District event, the Huron Valley Schools, Clarkston High School, and the International Academy. We'll see you 2 weeks from today at Saginaw Valley State.